is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time on a Thursday. Bryant Dacus and Brett Norsworthy with you for the next 3 hours, leading you up to Thursday Night Football. We'll have Thursday Night Football coverage on this station tonight at 7 between the Chiefs and the Lions. Before that, we'll have Reb Talk for the Ole Miss Rebels. So we'll have you covered on everything from now until the end of the game tonight. But like I said, Bryant and Brett with you today. Brett is down. We're in the Family Leisure Studios, but Brett is down in New Orleans for Ole Miss Tulane this weekend, traveling down today. We'll be there through the weekend. But Brett, travel all right down there, make it down safely today?
Travel was great. Thank you, Bryant. Missed you yesterday. We'll miss Jay Morgan today. Have all of us back here tomorrow on Friday, and we'll have our picks and a Friday football fiesta tomorrow, but we're going to have one today as well. Made it safely down, blazed the trail down 55 South for Ole Miss fans that I hope can get here. Tickets are really scarce for Ole Miss fans, and I don't blame Tulane at all. I mean, you don't have to accommodate the other team, and there's a lot of give and take in the Alabama-Texas last 2 years over that. But especially non-conference, there's just really there's no reciprocal agreements out there. There's gentle people agreements, I guess. But Tulane, they're looking forward to this. It's 30,000, so it's a limited capacity, and they didn't make available many tickets. Frankly, they're not trying to accommodate the opposing team, and I don't blame them. And the whole Texas-Alabama dust-up, we remember it from last year. And we remember LSU having won with Texas over the locker room temperature. Now, I can attest in 2013 when Ole Miss played in Austin on one, and it was much later than when LSU played them. It was more toward the latter part of September. I'm going to say around 20th, 23rd or so of September, whatever date it was in 2013. As hot as it can be on that day. Now, it was a night game, but I can attest the Ole Miss locker room was plenty comfortable. It was not anything oppressive. I don't think there was any hijinks with the temperature gauge. And it's a little rich that Alabama is kind of paying back the favor or lack of one last year on the seating arrangement at DKR last year. Yeah. And they did. The seats were so bad, and it's rare when Alabama doesn't take the $1 million band on a road trip, and they didn't last year because the seats were so bad that literally the time spent getting from those seats to the field at halftime, you would have no time left. And that's funny from the Alabama perspective, because I will tell you this on reciprocation and in the SEC. And I think the easiest thing to do is however you get it or however you give it, that's how you get it back.
Right.
When we play at Alabama, and this is kind of new in the dynasty era, it hadn't always been like this, but they give the Ole Miss radio crew 2 parking places. And we need minimum 4. The main person that needs one is the engineer,
right?
With all the stuff. Well, then when we play Alabama in Oxford, it's carte blanche. I mean, if they need one for an intern, going down and getting a post game guest. I mean, it's 6 or 8 parking places. And I've said for as long as they're going to do that tit for tat, it's got to be quid pro quo. If you give us 4, we give you 4. If you give us unlimited, we give you unlimited. So I think it's awfully ironic to Rich that Alabama is complaining at Texas.
That is funny. I have enjoyed it, though, because you're right. I mean, last year was the whole big thing. Alabama was complaining ever since really the week of that game. And then after the game, they complained about it for another 2 or 3 weeks that their band was going to have to be forced to sit so high. And so I did find it funny when I saw the news earlier this week that they were going to do the exact same thing to Texas band. But for Tulane, when you talk about Ole Miss going down there, I mean, I think that's great for Tulane. It sounds like it's going to be a sellout. It sounds like it's going to be a really lively, raucous environment, and that's what you want from these Group of 5 schools when they have Power 5 opponents. You want them to show up and show out, especially a team like Tulane. I know there's some question marks about what this team can be this year, but after the success they had last year, going to the Cotton Bowl and winning the Cotton Bowl, bringing back your star quarterback, I think the energy level has to be high, and so hearing that definitely makes me excited about what that program could do down at Tulane, because obviously we know one team is great, but it's trying to continue that and string it from year to year. So that's definitely good to hear.
And it just simply wasn't incumbent on Tulane in a 2-for-1 deal
Right.
to move this game to the Dome to effectively accommodate more opposing fans.
Yes.
I don't blame them. I've looked forward to it, and you know what? Sun's going to come up Sunday morning regardless.
That's right. And I understand why some of these, I guess, Group of 5 schools that play in cities that have arenas like that where they could move it to a big. I understand why there's that argument of wanting to move it there, but there is nothing better. I mean, we saw it last week when Texas Tech went on the road to Wyoming and played at Wyoming. Obviously, in Wyoming, there's not going to be another stadium you can play in, but it was a great scene. You see that every once in a while where a team will go to a kind of a smaller school and kind of a smaller town, and the town gets up for it. That city gets up for that game.
It's the
That's
Super
the
Bowl.
biggest thing of the year, and so I love it. I understand why it happens, but there's something different about playing a team at their home stadium instead of playing it in their mega dome that they have down the street from their stadium.
It is, and look, Bryant, I've been consistent and I've been sincere through the years. Let's play people. Let's play people in the neighborhood, especially with $3.50 gasoline. I don't care if they're giving away gasoline. Let's play people in the neighborhood, and everything will be fine regardless. If the bigger team doesn't win, well, get better.
Yeah.
If the bigger team does win, then the smaller team, they have to get better. And in these times, it's really hard with the dynamic of college football for that smaller team for you to just say, hey, go get better. But I'm really looking forward to the game on Saturday, and I think Ole Miss will be fine wherever this game is being played. And again, it is not the home team's responsibility to have the opposing fans sitting on the 50.
No.
It is just not. It never has
Not at
been.
all.
And everybody's got nightmare stories. You could plug in any name of any team of this team was at home, and or this team was on the road, and so fans were nasty to them, or it was different than being at your home stadium. Well, yeah, it's
Right.
different than being at your home stadium. It is, yeah. And the treatment. I mean, everybody's got those stories. I don't think anybody's more vile or nasty to
Right.
the other team's fans than anybody else. Everybody's got those stories, and everybody's got stories of running into good fans.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I think this is going to be a great game for both Tulane and Ole Miss as kind of a litmus test of where you are this season. I mean, we know obviously Tulane had a tough opponent in South Alabama and really took care of business, but how good South Alabama this year? What do we know about South Alabama? But for Ole Miss, obviously starting the season against Mercer and really taking care of business. Now for both those teams, for Tulane, this is a huge test against an SEC team, against a top 25 team, to go out and see how you match up against this SEC team. And then for Ole Miss, it's kind of your first shot at an FBS team, a ranked opponent, a hungry Group of 5 team. See what you got. So this is I know we'll probably talk about this a little bit later today and tomorrow, but this is probably top 3 or 4 games that I'm most excited for this weekend, just to see from both, because this Tulane team is a team Memphis is going to have to see in a couple of weeks. And for Ole Miss, obviously, here regionally, I'm very interested to see what both of these teams can do on Saturday.
But all that said about opposing fans, I am still looking for the fan that spilled a drink on you as a tot.
Yeah, try to find them and and let them know that we're not happy for what they did. But tonight, big night. NFL is back. It's finally here. We've been talking all week. Couple more sleeps, one more sleep. It's finally
No
here.
more sleeps.
No
Not
more
even a nap.
sleeps. Not even a nap. It'll be here in just a couple of hours. And since it's week 1, it won't be an Amazon Prime game. It'll be on NBC national television. So very excited for this game tonight, but still a lot of question marks for for the Chiefs and Travis Kelce. Will he play, won't he play? He's listed as questionable right now. I've heard a lot of people today on ESPN and NFL Network go back and forth on if he'll play, if he won't play. Half the people are saying, well, hey, he's a gamer and he's a tough guy. He's going to go out there and play. The other half of people are saying it's only week 1. The season only gets harder and more impactful week after week from here. Don't play this week. Get well for next week, and then you're off for the rest of the season. What do you think right now at 3:10 on Thursday afternoon with only a couple of hours left to game time? Do you think Travis Kelce will play tonight?
I think he will go tonight. I think he'll give it a try tonight. But we talked about it yesterday. You look at the Chiefs' first 4 games. It's not easy. Now they're going to be fine. And they're going to be fine because of number 15 and Andy Reid, but they need the complementary parts. Mm-hmm. I guess no shot at Chris Jones. I even thought last second deal done and he would have some snaps. So I missed on that. But long season, even longer than ever now. And if you're not the number 1 seed, a lot of you got to swim through a lot of playoff games now. So Travis Kelce, there's no need trying to win the tough guy merit badge on opening night. No.
I mean, I think the Chiefs, this dynasty they've created, the long trips through the playoffs, the Super Bowl wins, I think they're smart enough, and I think he has that connection with the coaching staff, with his teammates, that they can sit him down and say, look, we only want you to go if you feel like you're 100%. The rest of the season is way more important than just tonight. Now, will that keep him out? Will they say that to him? How will it play out? I don't know. But what I would hate to happen is him give it a go and then just, injure himself more and instead of being back next week, it'd be a couple of weeks. But I'm excited about this game. About Chris Jones, I'm kind of worried about that situation as a whole. I mean, he came out yesterday and talked. I know y'all talked about it yesterday, but kind of I don't think he's too pleased with his teammates kind of really pushing him to just kind of get back. He's saying, look, I'm just trying to get a raise. I think all of us want a raise at one point or the other. I'm not doing anything to affect y'all. I'm just trying to make sure I'm good for myself, for my family, and credit to him. I think that's you got to do what you got to do. So I want to keep an eye on that situation because I think it could kind of turn south very quickly if they're not careful.
Yeah, that's a fine line, getting involved in anybody else's business.
And I heard you say that yesterday. Don't mess with another man's money because it's
stay
risky.
Out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and let them negotiate on their own. And for the Chiefs, we know that for the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career, the rest of Travis Kelce's career, and the rest of Chris Jones's career, it's just filling out the resume. It's just filling out the bullet points for someday with acceptance speeches at Canton. Are there any others on the Chiefs? Anybody in the offensive line?
Not that come off the top of my head. I mean, there might be some that if you really look at it in a couple of years, you could maybe say,
Tyreek Hill had stayed.
Yeah. But that's probably the only couple that you can right now say they're in. All they have to do is just finish their carear. I mean, they could retire today.
It sadly ended tonight,
yes.
and sure hope that doesn't happen. But they could hang it up right now. And remember, we were visiting once a few years ago with Todd Lebo, and I asked him, maybe it was before a Super Bowl, and I asked him, has Patrick Mahomes achieved Mr. Kansas City status? Is he the number 1 sports figure ever? And he said he's real close, but he was reluctant for him to pass Lynn Dawson. And Lynn Dawson also had, and Todd told us this, had about a 40-year career there as the Joe Birch, as the Jarvis Greer of Kansas City local TV sports, and was just beloved. But Mahomes has passed him now. And I don't say that just because of Lenny Dawson's death, but Mahomes has passed him.
Mahomes has, for that organization, him coming in. Honestly, I hate kind of playing up the story of all that happened because he's been so successful, but getting there, not playing his first year, so many unknowns about this guy of what he could do, what he could be in Kansas City, and then quickly turning into this superstar in the NFL and bringing multiple titles to that city. You're absolutely right.
And near misses. I mean, in a Super Bowl and in AFC championship games. This run their own, and I'm going to get to it in my top story. I mean, I don't know what suffices as a mini dynasty, but they got to be in one.
No, they absolutely are. I mean, it's unbelievable what they've done. And really, I mean, it's to the point where you only see it for a couple of teams in different leagues where, we talk about it a lot for our Friday football forecast picks, is I will never bet against Alabama. If I'm betting against Alabama, there's going to be a really weird reason of why I'm doing it. Same with Georgia at this point. Is that
you're going to get a chance tomorrow.
I'm going to get a chance tomorrow. But for those two teams, I mean, it's going to be very rare for me to bet against those teams because of what they've built, because of what those coaches have done year over year. You've seen the same with Kansas City. There are a lot of people, especially since the Travis Kelce being questionable, I've seen on social media saying, Travis Kelce's not playing, or Travis Kelce's questionable, Chris Jones isn't playing. All the signs are pointing towards the Lions in this one, but I can't bet against Kansas City, especially week one. I don't like betting against Kansas City to begin with, but especially in week one, it's hard to bet against them. So they have earned that right as a team because of that dynasty. People don't want to bet against them because of how good they've been.
And a college-type home field advantage for the NFL.
Absolutely. I mean, how loud it gets in there, it's incredible. So it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. We're going to talk about it.
Their old radio guy, Kevin Harlan, you can hear him tonight right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll be doing. We got the A-team tonight with Kurt Warner.
We do.
And Kevin Harlan used to be the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, and I told you a lot last year because we would have conversations because a lot of these games were on Amazon Prime and it wasn't as accessible, and you would say, I just listened to it on the radio.
I'm gonna listen.
And I would tell you all the time that since working here, I have been working a lot of these games and listening to them, and it is so good. I mean, if you are a football fan, you need to listen. We'll have it tonight. We'll have it all day Sunday and Monday night through the rest of the football season. They are fantastic when it comes to these radio calls. The guys they have there, obviously Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner do a fantastic job, but all the other guys they have that do all the other games, because they'll bring in regional people, the local people from those teams to do some of the Sunday games. It's really, really good. So I'm really looking forward to tonight kicking off the season. We'll talk a little bit more about this matchup later in today's show, but let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, Bill Bender from the Sporting News will join us to talk college football. We'll have a look back at week one and then talk about what we should expect in week two in the next couple of days. 3:45, we'll get into some baseball talk. An interesting week in the AL West. This kind of three-horse race at the top between the Astros, Rangers, and Mariners. We'll talk about that. The Cardinals, they might be back. A couple wins against the Braves. They were rolling this week, so we'll talk some baseball at 3:45. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith from Spa Trek and the Front Office Show will join us to talk the NBA. We'll also have to talk a lot about the FIBA World Cup. We've talked a lot about that this week with the USA struggling at times this week. We'll get Keith Smith's thoughts at 4 o'clock. 4:30, we'll dive into this Thursday night football matchup between Detroit and Kansas City. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston will join us to talk Tigers. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. And at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. World's biggest spa sale. It's back and bigger than ever. 50 different models to choose from. 5 different manufacturers, up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. Free upgrades on all in-stock spas. And I've told you a lot this month about the 24-month same-as cash. It is still available during the world's biggest spa sale. I love using these spas in the wintertime when it gets a little colder. They're great for this time of the year. So definitely get over to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Bryant and Brett with you until 6 o'clock. We're Sports Time. Jay Morgan Harder will be back with us tomorrow, 901-360-8255 to text or to call, 901-360-8255. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Give them a call at 901-334-9673, the one and only Lexus dealership in town. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. The 2024 is on the way. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
My top story of the day is Thursday night football tonight, week 1, the first game of the season. We've made it. Felt like a long off season, but we're finally here. I'll always get to the point of the summer of the year. It's usually around when preseason games start where I'll get really excited about the NFL because I feel like I have it pretty stationed because I love baseball so much that football season comes, basketball season comes, baseball season comes, and I'm good. I mean, I don't need anything else. I can sit and watch baseball all day, and so I'm usually pretty good through the summer months. But once we get back to training camp, once those preseason games start, I get really excited. I get that itch for football, and I need it. Obviously, college football helps a ton. I love college football, probably more than I love professional football, just because of the sheer amount of games that you get. We love it all. But hey, the more the merrier. When you give me 133 college FBS college football teams, woo, hard not to beat that. But for the NFL, I mean, I get that itch in preseason, and then now because of the way preseason's set up, we have this 2-week stretch where there's no games, there's no preseason games. We're just talking about roster cuts and stuff, and I really start itching. Hard Knocks makes it worse because I'm like, oh man, I just want to see these guys in action. Well, we finally made it a big game tonight because Kansas City, we know this dynasty they're on. We know what they have built as a franchise with these players, some players that will go down in history as some of the best to play their position. Going up against a Lions team that a lot of people are buying in on. This is a young team, a coach in Dan Campbell that I think can make any person in America run through a brick wall. And a lot of people love this team. I mean, they're the fun-loving, Detroit's been a bad sports town forever, and we're going to love this team because they look like they have some spunk to them. And they do. And maybe we'll get to see that tonight. Now, how will it look against the big bad Chiefs? Will we get to see that high-flying offense that everybody talks about when it comes to the Lions? I'm excited about this game. Really, when you look at some of the teams and some of the matchups that you could have had for Thursday Night Football, this might be one of the best to kick off the season. And Travis Kelce plays, Travis Kelce doesn't play. I'll be happy either way because football's back.
I'm with you. That's my top story, and we really do love it all. In the National Football League kicks off tonight, and we talked about that semi-dynasty. How big a dynasty? Well, it can only grow because we can't take away what they've already done. They've accomplished that. That's in the bank. They can just add to it, and they being starting with Patrick Mahomes. You know, if you add one or two more with him, he's really in rarefied air. And tonight, that opponent that you mentioned, the Detroit Lions, the woe-begone Detroit Lions, they may not be so woe or so begone anymore. Right. We'll see. They haven't done a lot of talking. They let their playing do the talk, especially from about middle of October last year. Jared Goff was really locked in. He was not throwing interceptions, really good player. And come Super Bowl time, this may be way cart before the horse, but if the Lions got in the Super Bowl, except for a smattering of Bears fans and one or two spoiled rotten Packers fans, who could really pull against them? Wouldn't it be a little like we all felt collectively January 2nd pulling for Tulane against USC?
Oh, 100%. It felt like the entire country was pulling for Tulane.
And if it was against your team and you're super big Steeler fan, I can see it. But I think a lot of people would really rally around a good Detroit Lions season.
I think you're right.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day. I saw this headline yesterday, and I believe y'all talked about it yesterday, so I don't want to spend a long time on it, but it just blows me away reading this headline. Caleb Williams' father was interviewed either yesterday or the day before it made headlines yesterday, and he said that his son, Caleb Williams, is willing to stay in school if he doesn't want to play for the team that has the first overall pick. He has a quote, the funky thing about the NFL draft process is he'd almost be better off not being drafted than being drafted first. The system is completely backwards. The way the system is constructed, you go to the worst possible situation. The worst team, the worst organization in the league, because of their desire for parity, gets the first pick. So it's a gift and a curse. So if they are not in a good situation for him, the truth is he can come back to school. Now, every once in a while, you'll see something like this where a father or a player will say, maybe I'll come back. But the difference here is NIL is now a serious thing. And for a guy like Caleb Williams, where Saturday when I was watching week 1 of college football and they went to a commercial break, I see 3 straight ads with Caleb Williams in it.
And they're good.
He's Team Wendy's now. He's in the Dr. Pepper commercial.
Yeah.
He's got it. I mean, he is very talented. And so this is a guy that I'm sure already is making a ton of money and could probably make even more money if he decided to stay at USC right now. So, when I first saw the headline, I was like, it's just his father talking. This is just talk. But then when you think about it, we're in a new world now in college athletics, and there is a very real possibility that we could start seeing some of the best players in the country decide, you know what? I don't want to go spend the next 5 years in Arizona. I think I'm going to stay in sunny USC for a year and then see what happens after that.
Better be glad Buffalo's not picking number 1. There are a lot of
right.
people who want to dodge that. My not top story, the Belmont Stakes could move from Belmont Park starting next year. They're set to move in 2025, but they could even move to Saratoga for next year. Here's the restoration price at Belmont Park. I can't wait to hear Bruce Marshall's opinion on this tomorrow because he's been there many times. $455 million to redo that. And I bring it up in the context of what we're trying to get at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. I hear $300 million at Vanderbilt, $455 at Belmont Park, and people are begging for around $100 million for the stadium. I guarantee you the stadium price will come in bigger than that. It'll be more costly, it'll be complicated, and I bet it won't be finished on time.
I mean, I hate to say it, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't like thinking about it like that, but you're absolutely right. That's probably what's going to happen. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the day, and when we come back, we'll talk college football with Bill Bender.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you.
Want to play a private country club but only pay daily greens fees? Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis is your place. You can now play a beautiful, challenging course for only $59 plus tax, including carts. Meadowbrook Country Club features champion Bermuda greens and now is available to everyone. A membership is only $350 per month and includes tennis, pickleball, and swimming, plus a great restaurant and bar. Golf Pro Mark can even fix you up with custom-made tricks on clubs. Call 870-394-4186 today for your Tuesday through Sunday tee time at Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Hi, everyone. Greg Gaston for FanDuel. Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlay, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Just go to FanDuel.com, use Gas Manager promo code to get in on the action. All in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Just go to FanDuel.com, again, use Gas Manager promo code to join now or sign into your FanDuel Sportsbook account. Must be 21 or over, present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit is required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Nothing says summer like an ice-cold Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Smooth, refreshing, real brewed tea with 5% alcohol. Look for Twisted Tea in the bright yellow cans. Keep it twisted!
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Joining Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan now on Sports Time is Bill Bender, national college football writer for the Sporting News, and on Twitter X at Bill Bender. Here's Bill with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Bill Bender joins us now from the Sporting News. You can follow him on Twitter at BillBender92. Bill, thanks so much for joining us today. It was a fun week one around college football, but we got to start with the biggest story in the country, and that was Colorado. Deion Sanders' first game at Colorado, a win at TCU. What'd you think of that performance in week one?
Mentioned for so many reasons, because it was Deion, because Shedeur Sanders threw for 510 yards, because Travis Hunter played for 140 snaps. Yeah. And they won. Yeah. And they won on top of all of it. So it was a fantastically fun game, and I think the ride continues this week against Nebraska. It's good for college football.
It is great for college football, and for Nebraska, they lost kind of the opposite of that kind of game, a low to the ground, really 1950s game against the Gophers. They better be ready, or they're going to be up next with Coach Sanders and Fox. Big Noon, I thought, made the good move to be there, and I suspect with a Colorado win, game day will be at Boulder next week for Colorado State against Colorado.
Well, or it will build up toward the USC game, you know, where Caleb Williams is doing some remarkable things. He hasn't missed a beat. He's at the stage of his career where everything makes news that he says, and obviously the Trojans are pretty good. So I think that'll build up toward that game, and, man, the Pac-12 was just marvelous on all accounts. I mean, 13-0, elite quarterback play. What else can you say? It was a great weekend for the conference.
Who got more questions answered last weekend? Ohio State at quarterback or Alabama?
Oh, Alabama for sure. I mean, Jalen Milroe, the way he threw the ball down the field, he had two touchdown passes of 20 yards or more, 3 runs of 10 yards or more. Ohio State couldn't get the ball in Marvin Harrison's hands. Their defense looks better, but I think over the next 2 weeks against Youngstown State and Western Kentucky, Ohio State will figure out the quarterback, whereas we're going to learn all we need to know about Jalen Milroe on Saturday when they play Texas.
Well, I want to stick there with that game coming up on Saturday between Alabama and Texas. Obviously, it was a highly anticipated game last year. It's a highly anticipated game this year in Tuscaloosa. What are you looking forward to most in that game, and how do you expect it to go?
Well, I think, it's a big stage game. This is this week's Florida State LSU game where it's a big piece of the puzzle. Both quarterbacks are going to be on the spotlight. We saw Texas run with Alabama for 4 quarters last year, so we know they can do it. The only question is whether they can do it again, and I think it's going to be a fun football game. I just feel like we're sitting on one of those moments where Alabama kind of reminds us, hey, we're still pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to happen on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I think so too, Bill. I think Nick Saban heard all the stuff for the last year of Texas. We almost beat them. We should have beat them. All this very true. I think a can gets opened up Saturday night at Bryant-Denny.
Well, in last year's game, they had 100 yards in penalties, too. So if anybody's on the spot tonight or Saturday night, it will be the Alabama secondary. And they're a little beat up, but they've got guys like Kool-Aid McKinstry, Caleb Downs, the 5-star freshman that had 8 tackles last week. I think they're on the spot a little bit. And can Texas throw the ball downfield on them, which makes it a really fun game. I think it's going to be exciting, good for college football. Again, more than 10 million people will probably watch it, and can't ask for anything more.
Yeah, you're right about that. Talking to Bill Bender from the Sporting News, and Bill, you just brought up that LSU and Florida State game, and I thought it was going to be a very competitive game, and it was for most of the first half, but then what Florida State did in that second half, what Jordan Travis and these receivers, Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson specifically, that was incredibly impressive when a lot of people have been kind of going back and forth on how good this Florida State team could be this year. I thought they were extremely impressive in week 1.
No, it convinced me. I mean, obviously, the receivers you mentioned, the ability to throw the ball down the field, the 6th-year quarterback at the controls, he really only made one bad play, the interception to Deuce Chestnut. The defense has guys all over the place. I remember if Brett had them in his Final Four, but I'll tell you this, they proved to me that they're not just a college football playoff caliber team. They're on that short list of teams that can win the whole thing.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
How short is that list?
You're looking at, Alabama, Georgia, Florida State, then it's, Ohio State, Michigan. I don't know that I would stray past those 5. I mean, Penn State looked pretty good, but I don't see Penn State beating Georgia. So do I throw Tennessee and Notre Dame in there and call it a day?
And you included USC, right?
USC, yeah. Well, I think USC can get to the playoff with that offense. I don't know that USC, if they got in a game with a Georgia or a Alabama, could they get enough stops? But
that's a good
it's
question.
just, do we ever do this speech with Lincoln Riley? I figured we've been doing this for. But he did. The one year they did have a team, the Baker Mayfield team, absolutely was capable of doing it out at that Rose Bowl they lost to Georgia.
Bill, I love the verbiage, and it's very college basketball March Madness-esque. Bryant can attest that every year I'll talk about the number of teams that can get to the Final Four, and then just the teams that can win it. And honestly, 10th of February last year, I didn't have UConn in either one of those lists. So what I know. So now, Bill, we are into it now, and we will sure be into it next year, and that will save a lot of coaches, I think, in that they're just in the mix. They're in the playoff picture.
Yeah, the definition of a successful season is going to slide a little bit. Because if you get to the 12-team playoff, you can put that on your resume as opposed to, like Penn State 3 or 4 times in this 4-team era could have said 12-team playoff team. Now, and they've got a good team too. But I do think, I'm glad you guys see the difference, the separator between, to me, there is a difference between getting to the playoff and being able to win the whole thing. LSU could, I suppose, still get there. But, I mean, it's Georgia, Alabama, and then Ohio State / Michigan, whoever wins that game.
And Bill, think about, I mean, he's already a legend and should be, but think about the job turned in by Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech. If he had had playoffs attached to that all those years, he would have been in a 12-teamer every year. I don't know how you can become more of a small G guy at a place, but he would have.
Yeah, and I mean, they made the national championship the one year and brought Virginia Tech from CS Independent into the ACC. I still think we did that research a couple weeks ago of all the teams that have realigned and moved, and I don't think any school has benefited more from the spotlight moving into a major conference than Virginia Tech because of all those reasons. Now, it's been a little bit more of a struggle in recent seasons since he retired. That's a tough place to win.
Sure is. Bill, how concerned are you with Clemson's offensive production after that game one when it seemed like they could get into the red zone really at will most of the night, but just could not do anything after getting inside the red zone for a team that a lot of people thought would have a bounce-back year? How much did that concern you?
Yeah, I mean, that was a quicksand night for them where no matter they get in it, and then it just got a little deeper and a little deeper, and I was, like most people, waiting for them to take over the game, and then one of those turnovers would happen. I'm not giving up on Clemson yet. I think their defense is very talented, although they missed some tackles. They need Cade Klubnik to play better, and they need to find a receiver.
Got to.
That's the difference. Their receivers aren't what they used to be.
Bill, here we had the kind of the inside track on knowing just what a great coach Mike Norvell that he really was here for the University of Memphis. Now everybody knows. Do you think it took a while for do you agree that everybody knows? And did it take longer than maybe FSU officials thought it would take for everybody to know?
Yes. And then the patience paid off because, they were probably in a spot 2 years ago where Billy Napier is now at Florida. And so the question for Florida as it gets rough this year, and it's going to get worse before it gets better for them, is do we show that patience? And Florida State's being rewarded for it. You guys obviously closer to him than I am, but again, just impressed with the speed. The Florida State looked like Florida State. We always do that, right? When do they look like Florida State again? They looked like the Seminoles on Sunday night.
Yeah, they did. They absolutely did. I'm curious, we talked a little bit about the Pac-12 earlier in our conversation, but when you look at that conference, maybe behind USC, who's the second best team in your opinion? We talked about how good of a week one they had as a conference. Who's maybe number 2, number 3 in that conference right now for you?
Washington is really good. Oregon's really good.
Yeah.
Oregon State's really good. All of those teams, and Colorado, all of them deserve to be ranked. I think Washington State's in the mix as a ranked team, too. Big test against Wisconsin on Saturday. But if I had to pick one, I think it's Washington. I think Washington's also like in that Tennessee class of an offense that's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Their receivers, 2 1,000-yard receivers that'll play in the league. Strong running game. Michael Penix at the controls. Their offense is awesome. Their defense is pretty good. That Washington-USC game is going to have a lot of things on the line when those two play later this year.
And could play twice.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, and the Heisman could be decided there. I mean, Michael Penix maybe not get the same publicity that USC is. But Caleb's just playing flawless football right now. All of those Pac-12 quarterbacks are.
Well, Bill, I mean, you talk about Michael Penix in that Washington offense. I was watching that game on Saturday against Boise State, and kind of a slow start for them, and I had to go run an errand. It was like a 10-minute drive for me. They had like 7 points when I left the house. I looked at my phone when I got to the place I had to go, and they had like 28 points in like a span of like 20 minutes. I mean, it was incredible. You're absolutely right. This offense can absolutely go, and I think you're right. The Pac-12 could be very dangerous this year. It's unfortunate, though, that this is going to be the last year of the conference.
Yeah, it is, and this is quite a going-away party because there's a good chance they could have a Heisman winner, a playoff team, and who knows? I mean, right now they have the most popular brand in football in Colorado, at least for another couple weeks.
That's true. Well, it should be it was a fun week one, should be a fun week two. But, Bill, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Hey, you guys are the best. Thanks so much for having me on. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Bill. Enjoy the games.
Bill Bender from the Sporting News joining us every single week at this time to talk college football. And he's right. I mean, the Pac-12 is a dangerous, dangerous conference, and they very well could have the Heisman Trophy winner, a playoff team, and that Heisman Trophy winner and playoff team might not come from the same team at this point, or they might have a runner-up. There's just a lot of talent out there for sure. But Bill Bender, thank you definitely to him again for joining us. And you can follow him on Twitter at BillBender92. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some baseball.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Is your roof leaking? Do you have water damage on your ceiling of your home or business? Do you need assistance gathering much-needed data and images from your storm-damaged roof for an insurance claim? Call Metro Builders, roof and restoration specialists, and schedule your free inspection. At Metro Builders, our team of Hague-certified technicians and fully trained estimators are ready to come out and evaluate any concerns you may have. Metro Builders Roof and Restoration. We accept all insurance carrier scopes. Call Metro Builders now. Each and every day, we provide clients many different types of data and estimates for their insurance carrier. These include estimate and photo reports of all damage, from the roof to water damage on rafters and ceilings and even studs and plates inside walls. Check out the local BBB for our 27-year history in construction in Memphis, or check us out online today at metrobuildersmemphis.com. That's metrobuildersmemphis.com for your local residential and commercial roofing and restoration experts. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Hey, this is Elliot Perry, former Memphis Tiger and NBA player. I love my city and want the best for our future. I want to introduce you to Paul Young, someone who has dedicated his life to building a better Memphis. Paul and I share a deep connection to this city. His commitment to improving the lives of Memphians resonate with me on a profound level. As the City Director of Housing and Community Development, Paul Young has worked tirelessly to ensure affordable housing and build thriving neighborhoods. Now, as President of the Downtown Memphis Commission, Paul Young is revitalizing our city, attracting jobs, and creating opportunities.
This is Paul Young. Memphis is my home, and I'm running to make it a place where everyone can thrive. Together, we'll make our community safe, invest in our neighborhoods, fund youth programs, and take care of our seniors. We'll continue the work I started in housing and community development, always putting Memphis families first. I'm asking for your vote on October 5th so we can build a Memphis that works for all of us. Paid for by friends of Paul Young, Cassandra Webster, Treasurer.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
O'Reilly. Do you need new wiper blades but aren't sure which ones are right for you? The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. We'll show you the best options for your specific vehicle and even install your new wipers for free. And right now, save $10 per pair on Bosch Focus wiper blades, plus get 2 times O-Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. When you walk into Genesis Diamonds, it's jaw-dropping. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis has a gorgeous showroom with more fine jewelry than you've ever seen in one place. No commission salespeople and no stress whatsoever. Genesis Diamonds is a whole new, refreshing concept in jewelry shopping that people here are absolutely loving. And they specialize in diamonds, so they have every size and every shape diamond you can imagine, from a half-carat to 20-carat diamonds, rounds, ovals, cushion cuts, princess cuts, emerald cuts, pear shapes, you name it, they've got it. And And you can choose from natural diamonds or lab-grown diamonds. The prices will shock you. Genesis is a disruptor. They came here to expose high jewelry markups at other stores and pass the savings on to you. Genesis is a game changer, and it's not just diamonds. Check out Genesis' amazing selection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes with all the hard-to-find models. Don't buy jewelry anywhere until you see what Genesis has brought to Memphis. They're on Poplar at Perkins Extended in Poplar Commons. Genesis Diamonds, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Start your day the right way at La Palapa with the biggest, baddest breakfast burrito around. Chorizo, cheese, rice, beans, and eggs served with fresh salsa, and it's served all day. La Palapa has daily lunch specials, all served with rice and beans, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Try a torta, breaded chicken, steak, chorizo, or ham served with mayo, avocado, lettuce, tomato, and jalapenos, all in a hoagie. Plus amazing soups and dinner entrees, all at La Palapa, 5255 Summer Avenue. La Palapa, the little hut with big taste.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time, and I know everybody is excited for the start of the National Football League, College Football Week 2 getting started. I think one game tonight between an FBS and FCS school, but really getting started on Saturday.
Poor Murray State in Louisville tonight.
Yeah, geez, nobody's going to be watching that, unfortunately.
Friends and family.
Yeah, I'll be watching it. It's not going to be on my main screen, but I'll peek in. But no.
How many screens for you tonight? We have the Peacock open?
Tonight I'll probably only have 2, or I actually no, because but there's not a lot of baseball games. Probably only about 3 or 4 screens tonight. not a big screen night for me.
Who's running the remote tonight? You or Connor?
I will be. After what it's a big job. But after what he pulled last week, I'm not letting him run. I'm not letting him run the remote anymore.
You can't trust someone that fails in week 1.
I can't. Well, I mean, to be honest, he did a good job. I mean, he bounced back and forth pretty well, but it was just, he figured out that he was annoying me, and so he continued to annoy me and was affecting the watching of games.
So you're taking over the remote tonight.
So I'm going to get the remote tonight. That's how it works. Maybe we'll give him a second chance tomorrow night, see if he can redeem himself.
The historic beatdown the last 3 nights the Astros have put on Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I think my Bruce Bochy effect could be dwindling.
Well, and it's interesting because, for the Rangers, I know years ago they were a really powerful team. I mean, when they had Josh Hamilton and Nelson Cruz and Elvis Andrus, those guys, they were obviously a powerhouse. But since then, and up until about this year, it's kind of been a down period for that franchise. And so I think, this might just be you were just 1 year too early on it because, I mean, this whole year they've been very, very impressive. But you're right. I mean, this has just looked like an absolute mismatch this week from start to finish. And I thought the Astros would probably have the upper hand, but I didn't think it would go like this.
I didn't think it'd go like this. And Dusty kind of sent a sign. I mean, the Astros rounding into form. How it shakes out in the AL West, I think, is the best remaining story. And we talked yesterday, look out for the Cubs.
Yeah.
The Cubs not only can still catch the Brewers for the National League Central, but also just moving into that 4 seed, that puts that first series, that 2 out of 3, everything would be at Wrigley. And you watch these games at Wrigley, they're almost pushing them across that finish line. Wrigley's back 2015, 16, 17 for them.
You're absolutely right, and
didn't go away for long.
No. But I'll give Jay Morgan credit because Jay Morgan has been saying for more than a month, look out for this Cubs team. I mean, this Cubs team could really do it. And so I got to give him credit for that, but you're absolutely right.
How did it happen? I didn't see it coming at all. How did it happen? Who do they think they are having September, October fun in the Cardinals night? What do the Cubs think they're doing?
I mean, who do the Cubs think they are? But I mean, it's look at the division they're playing in, Brett. I mean, when you're playing in a division where that just is that poor and that kind of up and down, you can do what the Cubs have done this year. So you're right. I mean, they are definitely a team to watch. But you talk about the AL West. I'm just going to say, I mean, Houston's going to win this division. I don't see any way Seattle wins this division. They still have, I think, 2 series with Houston and 1 with with Texas and some other series against middle to good teams in baseball, where the Astros, I believe, have 2 more series left with the Kansas City Royals, Brett.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just think, and with Seattle, the back of that bullpen hasn't looked extremely strong. This week against the Reds, and even last weekend against the Mets, it was very disappointing, actually, to kind of see that bullpen kind of fall the way they've been falling. So I think Houston's going to win this division. I think Seattle's going to be there in the wild card. But it's a great race to watch.
My preseason baseball picks were pathetic.
I'm right there with you, Brett.
Cardinals, Yankees, World Series. But in the American League, I did have Houston winning that division, and 2 of the 3 AL wild cards being Seattle and Texas, and the other AL wild card, Toronto. I can still get 4 out of 6 in the AL. No shot on the Yankees, no shot on Cleveland, and National League. My goodness. Mets, Cardinals, Dodgers division winners.
I'm Mets, Cardinals, Padres, so maybe worse.
I'm as bad. Mets, Cardinals, Padres with the wild cards, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and the Dodgers.
Yeah, I'm right there about the same with you. So I mean, it's it was bad. But hey, that's why. I mean, the season's long. That's why we didn't put any money on these picks. We just made them. We just said them over the radio and then let them go.
A debate for another day. Shohei's going to be the American League MVP, right?
Absolutely.
How valuable to his team has he been?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
We'll do that another day.
Yeah, no, we will definitely have to get to that another day. I said it earlier, not a ton of games tonight, obviously being a Thursday. I think a little bit of it, too, is they know it's the first NFL game of the season, and they want to get out of there for that. But we'll have some really compelling series starting tomorrow, especially, like you said, this AL West series coming down the stretch is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And Brad, I forgot to even bring it up. The Cardinals, they're back. I mean, have you seen what they've done against the Braves?
The Braves just patted us on their head. They were just nice to us.
They said, "All right, we'll let you have a little bit here and there." No, it was fun to watch the bats nonetheless. But let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we'll talk National Basketball Association with Keith Smith.
7.
12. What are we playing?
Central Barbecue has 7 different kinds of sandwiches.
Okay, does that seem like a lot?
Are you kidding? 7 may be the most perfect amount of sandwiches. See, they got the pulled pork. You can get chopped on request. Then trim sliced beef brisket sandwich. There's 2 right there.
I'm not sure exactly.
Look, you've also got the pulled chicken, the smoked turkey, the marinated portobello mushroom sandwich.
That seems like plenty.
You would think, but then you also got the smoked sausage and the barbecue bologna sandwich.
You're right. 7 may be the perfect amount of sandwiches.
The people at Central Barbecue are genius.
Need new hires for fall before summer ends? You need Indeed. Their hiring solution helps you attract, interview, and hire. Sponsor a job and instantly receive a short list of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hi, this is Jonah Gamble, left guard for University of Memphis football. Let us help you use your home's value for all those projects or vacations you've been putting off. Now you can borrow up to 100% loan to value. No closing costs for loans $50,000 or less. Online banking accessible. Interest-only payments for the first 10 years. You can apply at southernsecurity.org or by calling our member service team at 901-452-7900. Southern Security is an equal housing lender. Southern Security is a proud sponsor of the University of Memphis.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One. Join me and Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, ready to kick off the new NFL season. It's Patrick Mahomes and the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs, hosting Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. Join us, along with Rich Eisen from the studio, as we get the new season underway, coming up on NFL Kickoff.
Right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show, and on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Keith Smith is with us now to talk the NBA, but before we do that, Keith, thanks so much for joining us. I do want to start off with some FIBA talk with the FIBA World Cup going on. It was a kind of up-and-down week for the USA, a loss earlier to Lithuania, then bounced back with a pretty lopsided victory over Italy. What have you thought about these past two games for Team USA?
Yeah, I think we saw Lithuania. That's kind of the U.S.'s worst fear, is that a team kind of dominates inside. We saw, Jonas Valanciunas do some stuff. Some of his teammates, they really own the boards against the United. All kinds of shots. A lot of them on second shot opportunities. They couldn't get shots to fall from 2-point range, and they were 3-point. To lose, and then against Italy, you saw Italy hung with them for a little bit, and then the U.S. eventually just kind of overwhelmed them with their speed, athleticism, locked in defensively on a couple of key Italian players, and really blew them out. And now, headed into the semifinals against the German team that's been very, very tough in the course of this tournament.
And Keith, I think everything should be kind of superimposed by, if they win a championship, there's no need to pull fire alarms. But there are some, including, I wish Jay Morgan was here today, wish Jay Morgan Harder was here. He's pulling the collective fire alarm about how we teach, coach, and have big men develop now, that we're kind of making the whole game too many. It's kind of too much wing play. It's too much perimeter play. Your thoughts?
Yeah, there's something to that. You have to get kind of down the list a little bit before you get to the best American-born big men, and that's that is a difference. And in FIBA, because everything is one, they're shorter games. The games are played a little bit differently as far as they will go inside, they will go to post-ups. They call the games very differently. They don't let as much physicality go and those kind of things. So it is really important, at that level, to have, that kind of big man. But, in the United States, players are being kind of trained, and they want to be trained to win in the NBA. Where we're seeing the amount of importance that are put on these competitions, especially anything that is non-Olympic, it's just not there. They just don't really, care all that much about it anymore. So it is something that, is worth monitoring and kind of keeping an eye on, because that is going to continue to be a little bit of an Achilles heel for this team as they go into, next summer into the Olympics as well.
Keith, it's why, not only because I'm old and they were heroes of mine, when I hear some, certainly not you, and not many that even matter, I don't know why I'm going here, but I'm going to. When I hear some kind of want to denigrate Bill Russell's numbers, and they weren't very offensive. When I hear some want to denigrate Wilt Chamberlain over the opposition, some have no appreciation for Willis Reed, and it really drives me crazy that I feel it slipping away. Those of us, kind of keeping the light burning for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There's so many people that just don't recognize that type of play.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially in the NBA, I find, it compared to some of the other sports where we're very quick to anoint someone as, great or the next whoever it is. And then we're just as quick to tear them down when they don't get there. And kind of we spend so much time on those things that I think we lose sight of the kind of historical figures of the game. And there are certain players that I maintain, Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, all sorts of guys. You put them in any era, they were going to be the best. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just the way it is. They would have adjusted to whatever it is in that era, and they'd be the best.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. Well, Keith, I'm curious because I'll be honest, I've gotten to see kind of parts of these Team USA games throughout FIBA. I'm curious of what you've thought about Paolo Banchero through this FIBA process and just for him as a player getting ready for year 2 in the NBA. I loved watching him play at Duke 2 years ago, and I really enjoyed kind of watching him develop over the year last year for the Magic. What have you thought about him through FIBA, and then what do you expect for him this year with that young Magic team?
Yeah, his role is very, very different on this team, obviously. With the Magic, from day one, it was kind of him and Franz Wagner with a 1-1A scoring option. And it was, I'm not going to say take every shot you want, but it was going to be, hey, you get your shots up because that's what we need. Here, it's been, I think there's been times when they would like to see him shoot even more than he does because I think he's passing up some good looks in that. You're seeing he's improved his physicality a little bit from his rookie year. I think he's learned I got to be a little stronger around the basket area on both ends of the floor. I need to finish better. I need to block out better and those kind of things. I want to see his rebounding improve. He only had, I believe it was 7 games last year with 10 or more rebounds. I want to see that nudge up 20 or more. I think he can get there because I think he has the ability to do that. But he is a very good, very smart player. And that Magic team, they're building something here now. Yeah. It's taken a little bit to come together, but they're starting to put together a pretty fun group of guys who can do a lot of different things. They didn't lock into one skill players. It's be able to do dribble, pass, shoot, defend, rebound, a little bit of all of it, and that's going to be fun to watch develop.
Keith, I think I asked you once during the offseason, but I'm going to ask you this again, and we're going to be doing NBA picks here in a few weeks. Can Orlando be the East version of Sacramento from last year?
I don't think they'll climb quite that high in the standings. I think Sacramento they were showing signs of that the prior year, and then just kind of fell out late in the playoff race. I think what you're going to see with the Magic is, let's get into the mix. Ideally, top 6 and that assured playoff spot. But if they can get in and mix into the play-in tournament, that's a successful step forward season for them. And I think that's a more reasonable goal. I think Sacramento, they just had a lot of pieces in place and then added just the absolute right mix of guys around Domantas Sabonis and around De'Aaron Fox, especially the shooting that they went out and got. Where Orlando, still a little bit shy on that, but I do think the Magic they're on their way to being a pretty good team.
Keith, I saw yesterday that Christian Wood signed a 2-year deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. It's been kind of a weird last couple of years for Christian Wood after being one of the kind of top looked at big men in the league when it came to free agency and the trade deadline. For Christian Wood, what do you think he can add to this Lakers team over the next 2 years?
Yeah, I think you're going to see him in there, especially this year. What it's all about for Christian Wood is rehab his value, right? Get back out there, show everybody, hey, this is why I was a $15 million player. This is why he should still probably have a contract within that range. But teams soured on him because, one, he doesn't play any defense. His defense is pretty bad. The second part of it is he's had some issues with professionalism. And that's the really unfortunate part. The defense thing, that's a known quantity. You can get past it. But the lack of professionalism, we thought we were past that and then it popped back up with Houston and then again with Dallas. So just not good to see that. But in that environment with the Lakers, where they're not going to put up with it. LeBron, if you're not showing up and doing what you're supposed to be, LeBron's going to be in the ear of the front office saying, get this guy out of here.
Yep.
So come in, spell Anthony Davis in the games where Davis plays, play for Davis in the games where Davis misses, score your 15 to 20 points per game, get on the boards. They'll deal with the lack of defense and figure it out. And I think for a minimum signing, as long as he's not disruptive, the Lakers hit a home run there.
Keith, you mentioned LeBron James and so much of his greatness, we know about, but you mentioned the policing of the locker room, the locker room sheriff, and at times he's got to be GM as well. In the history of the league, isn't it ironic that the best players often are the best locker room police and kind of the best ones telling the front office of add this guy or don't touch this guy?
Yeah, I think sometimes, sometimes I think that goes a little sideways. I think, Michael Jordan is a good example of, maybe the best player ever and not necessarily always the best teammate. I think some of his teammates would tell you, hey, I didn't need him, breaking me down the way he did so much. But, it's a testament, if we keep it to just LeBron, how much he understands this game. Now, we've seen at times it goes a little sideways even on him. He had moments with the Cavs towards the end of his time there and with the Lakers where it was, hey, let's go get this guy. He's really good. And it's like, LeBron, that guy's 36 years old and hasn't really played at that level anymore. And it kind of went a little sideways on him. But, overall, yeah, I think, when you've done the things he's done for as long as you've done them at the level he's done them at, for sure, I'm going to listen when he has a thought on a player or what we should be doing roster-wise or play-wise and those kind of things.
Moving from the Lakers to the Clippers, I saw some reports earlier today, maybe even yesterday, that Kawhi and Paul George are reportedly on track to be 100% for training camp, which I don't know how confident I am in that. It seems like it's been a while since we've seen both of those guys at 100%. What is your confidence level that we could see both of those guys 100% healthy for maybe a bulk of this year?
Yeah, very, very low.
Yeah.
I think maybe to start the year, sure. And I think the Clippers are going to approach things differently this year. I think we saw them last year really lean heavier than they had into the load management and into the idea of let's just get these guys to the playoffs. And then they got there, and just unfortunate injuries for both of them.
Right.
But both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were out, and I think the Clippers were like, we kind of threw away a big chunk of the regular season trying to get to this point healthy, and we still didn't do it. So I think you're going to see them value the regular season a little bit more, push these two a little bit harder in the regular season, and just kind of go through things slightly differently than where they've been. So I think, it's just until I see them make it through the year and be healthy when the playoffs start, I'm really just not going to buy into it because it hasn't happened since they've been there in L.A.
Well, when you look at this Clippers team, without those guys being healthy, maybe one guy being healthy, one guy not, when you look at the rest of this team, I mean, they've added some young players. They've made some moves last year at the deadline. What do you think about this team going into this season?
Yeah, I want to believe. And, I'm kind of, Charlie Brown here with the football where I think I'm going to keep running up to kick it and they keep pulling it away because I look at them like, boy, they're deep. They're just deep and good players, guys who you can put on the floor and feel good about what they're going to do. But then you kind of get there and it's like, but when we get there, it's my second and third string guys that are available.
Right.
It doesn't matter how deep I am because I don't have my star end, my star guys, my top end talent. But I like the Kenyon Martin Jr. Best, really, I'll call it that, because I think he's going to give them that jolt of athleticism they really need on a team that's a little older, a little more ground-bound. So I really like that one. I thought Bones Highland was a good pickup for them last year. I think he'll give them a little bit of energy on their second unit. And then we'll see if they go get James Harden. We'll kind of see how that comes together. But, if a James Harden trade becomes, hey, we had to trade, 3 or 4 potential rotation guys to get them, you get a little bit nervous because with their injury history, you know they need those 3 or 4 rotation guys to be deep enough to get through the regular season.
At playoff time next spring, next April, May, what's James Harden's? Is he 7th man? Where's he in somebody's rotation on a playoff team?
A pretty good one. I mean, he is. I know all the stories came out, great reporting by Ramona Shelburne at ESPN about him pouting about not being an all-star. And while I can't agree with the pouting part of it, I can agree with him being upset, thinking he should have been an all-star. That's where he played last year too. But I think it's, with James Harden, it can't be the James Harden show anymore where it is, all right, you're going to take 30 shots tonight. Yeah, we're going to run everything through you, all the time. But if he is, on a team and it's like, hey, I just got to be part of the machine here, he can definitely be a top 5 contributor because still really good at getting downhill to the basket. Less not a finish for himself now, but still makes the right read, right decision on the passes. And once every, 3, 4, 5 games, he can put together a 40-point night and kind of carry you when you don't have a lot else going on. So it's tricky, but, it's got to be him fully bought into whatever the overall kind of mission is for his team.
We're talking NBA with Keith Smith from Spotrac and the Front Office Show. You can follow him on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA. Keith, I was watching ESPN this morning, and they were having a conversation around Damian Lillard. And basically, the premise of this conversation was, with training camp only a couple weeks away and a lot of these front offices getting back together and getting prepared for training camp to start, for the regular season to start, that maybe those conversations around Damian Lillard would start heating up in terms of a trade to maybe Miami or somewhere else. Do you think that here in the next week, with some of those front offices getting back together, with training camp approaching, that those rumors and conversations will heat up a little more?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's happening right now in the league is most of the league takes a large chunk of August kind of off. That's kind of their only down month. Everybody's kind of getting back into the office. A lot of the players are starting to filter back into the home market because this is where they start doing those informal workouts ahead of training camp and the like. So what you're going to start seeing and hearing with these teams is everybody's kind of back, and then what the teams and the coaches start coming back in, and the coaches are in the front office saying, hey, are we doing this or not? Because I got to start mapping out training camp and mapping out my lineups and my rotation and the sets I want to run and all this stuff. And what a coach, like if you're Chauncey Billups, you don't want to have everything planned out, and then the night before training camp, hey, we're trading Damian Lillard, and your whole first 2-3 days of training camp are kind of wasted because you don't have everybody in the gym. You're having to rebuild everything on the fly. So then you'll start seeing some of that pick up. And then the other thing, just from a PR perspective, they don't want to go into media day with Damian Lillard showing up and having to do a bunch of interviews. And then they're gonna put a thing out, and just like the Sixers will with James Harden, hey, no questions about trades and all that stuff. And guys like me are going to be like, hey, so about the trade idea and those kind of things, because that's what we do. So that you want to avoid that awkward situation if you can. So I think, if we're going to see a trade happen before the season, my guess is sometime in the next couple of weeks it goes down.
Oh, wow.
Keith, we were batting this around yesterday. Next summer in Paris, two questions. Will Steve Kerr be the coach? Will this staff be the United States coaching staff? And can Canada medal next summer in Paris?
Was it Canada? Can Canada medal?
Could they?
Second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I to answer that part of it first, yeah, sure. They might still, win the gold here in the World Cup. And I think for Canada, the big thing is who's going to be there. They may get some of the guys they have now, who are pretty good. They may get a couple other guys. You may see a Jamal Murray join that team, and a couple of the other guys who've been kind of, I'm holding out so far. So, yeah, I think so. To your first part of the question, I do think Steve Kerr will still be the coach. I think, barring Like, if they get destroyed by Germany in the semifinals, then maybe you start to have a conversation about, hey, what happened? But I think, barring some kind of major disaster, I think the idea was, hey, you're in it for the cycle. You're in it for the World Cup and the Olympics, and that's what we're going to do. So I think there's also a sense of, hey, a lot of guys in the league, they want to play for Steve Kerr. They respect Steve Kerr. And let's be fair to the guys who are there. I'm very proud of these guys. I like this team they put together. Maybe half of them will be there for the Olympics, because that's when you're going to see the superstars show up, and maybe a couple of the veteran guys might look at it and say, all right, one more run. Let's do one more trip through the Olympics and kind of go get this done. So, yeah, I think it'll be Steve Kerr coaching those guys.
Last thing for you, Keith, about the Canadian national team. I thought SGA has looked really good through FIBA play. What have you thought about him through FIBA, and then for him to go back to Oklahoma City and really kind of be that leader for them? How big can he be for the Thunder?
Yeah, I mean, he took the superstar leap last year, and then has only built on it here in the summertime with Team Canada. It is clear to anybody who watches that this guy is, I don't know, top 10 players in the NBA, 12, 15, somewhere in that range. Yeah. I mean, he is that good. And now you're going to get him back in there with the Thunder, and now there's no questions, right? It is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is our leader, and everybody else here has a chance to be pretty good, but our whole deal orbits around him, and it's going to be, can Josh Giddey take a step forward? Can Jalen Williams, the guard wing one that's the starter, can he take another step forward? And can Chet Holmgren step in and kind of be that big man partner for all that guard and wing talent that they need? And if he can, the sky's the limit for that team. This is as excited as I think Thunder fans have any right to be since the Durant, Westbrook, Harden team when they were right there, as finals contenders, because that's how deep in talent this Thunder team is.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch them over the last couple of years, and just kind of this rise with these young guys. They're definitely a fun team to watch. But Keith, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Keith. Keith Smith from Spotrac and the Front Office Show, joining us every single week to talk NBA.
Has there ever been any better NBA theme music than in Keith's Open, the NBA on NBC?
It's beautiful. I mean,
it really is.
I mean, we talk about there's a couple with the NFL that every time you hear it, you're just like, oh yeah, football is here. That's the one. When I hear that around basketball, I'm like, okay, it's time.
It's almost the NBA's fight song.
It 100% is. I mean, I don't think there's a question about it. It is.
It's really good. It's so fun to visit with Keith, and we're really building to his time of year.
Yeah,
and,
we are.
And we're getting close to Grizzlies' time of year, and it'll get here soon. And we love having Sissy's Log Cabin with us, and they're the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies, and their new location opening soon, real soon, at 4542 Popper. Bill Jones and his great team, they're here to stay. Some blow in overnight and then gone, not Sissy's Log Cabin. They're here to stay, and a big supporter of Tigers athletics and sponsor every Monday of our look back at the weekend in the SEC. That's coming up next Monday at 4:30. Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry, engagement rings, wedding bands, rings, necklaces, earrings for that special occasion in your life. 9,000 square foot store in Laurelwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and more. Since 1970, with 6 locations across Arkansas and Tennessee, Sissy's offers a selection of diamond and estate jewelry and fine gifts. Official jeweler for the Memphis Grizzlies and FedEx Forum with the Floor Seat Lounge. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
It really is kind of crazy to think just kind of how time goes by so fast. But, I mean, I hear I told you a week or so ago that I was getting my hair cut, and the girl cutting my hair was like, "You excited for the Grizzlies?" And I was like, yeah. But it's going to be a while before. And she was like, "No, it's less than 2 months before their first game at home." And I was like, "You're kidding." And then I heard John either today or yesterday talking about we're like 2.5 weeks away from training camp open. I mean, it feels like we get to kind of this time of the year where everything's starting up, and it just goes by so fast. And you're right, before we know it, we're going to have NBA basketball right in front of us.
We love the superconductor, the collision of everything. And did you see the story? And I wasn't alone in this, but I think I pegged it when they brought in Magic Johnson as part of the Washington football team ownership group. And yesterday he was at practice and spoke to the team, and they were agog. They knew they were in the presence of a big-time superstar. None of those guys, were even around when he played. But you know who was around? Their dads.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe big brothers, maybe uncles, friends. They know, who Magic Johnson, who he is. And with his presence yesterday, he's going to have the same influence in D.C.
Yeah.
I think his job is to get that new stadium built and to get it built in the district and to try to finally, maybe even with the return of the old name, and that would be a different debate for a different day, and I'm not getting hung up in it today or even then, but maybe even try to pacify enough people for the return of the old nickname.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. But, I mean, you talk about, people and that weren't around but kind of realized that person was a big-time deal. I mean, that's the same thing we're seeing with Coach Penny Hardaway. And a lot of these kids that he's recruiting who are 16, 17 years old. I mean, I'm 23, and I never really saw Penny play. I mean, some of those late years.
But a dynamic figure.
Absolutely. And for a lot of these kids that will, they'll do interviews and stuff after they go on an official visit or after Penny does an in-home visit, and they'll say, I have never seen Penny play, but my parents, after Penny Hardaway left our house, my dad was like, that was Penny Hardaway in our house. I mean, it's a big deal, and these kids, these younger people, they are taught about it. I mean, sports is such a huge thing where your parents are telling you, oh, when I was a kid, this guy was massive, and so it really is cool to see that.
Magic Johnson, Penny Hardaway, those names right now. Here's the rub. Here's the difference between the two. Magic's not ever going to have to coach a football game.
No.
Penny has to go out there and win, and has to do it again next year. And that is sometimes the downside of that superstar former player coming back to coach.
Yes.
And we've got nightmares from every place in every sport, but you also got good stories, and it's been a good story so far, and the future really bright.
You're absolutely right. It has been, and it's been fun to watch. But let's get to a break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into tonight's game, Thursday Night Football, Detroit versus Kansas City. We'll talk about it next.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Is your roof leaking? Do you have water damage on your ceiling of your home or business? Do you need assistance gathering much-needed data and images from your storm-damaged roof for an insurance claim? Call Metro Builders, roof and restoration specialists, and schedule your free inspection. At Metro Builders, our team of Hague-certified technicians and fully trained estimators are ready to come out and evaluate any concerns you may have. Metro Builders Roof and Restoration. We accept all insurance carrier scopes. Call Metro Builders now. Each and every day, we provide clients many different types of data and estimates for their insurance carrier. These include estimate and photo reports of all damage, from the roof to water damage on rafters and ceilings and even studs and plates inside walls. Check out the local BBB for our 27-year history in construction in Memphis, or check us out online today at metrobuildersmemphis.com. That's metrobuildersmemphis.com for your local residential and commercial roofing and restoration experts. Call me. call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRIEND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Start your day the right way at La Palapa with the biggest, baddest breakfast burrito around. Chorizo, cheese, rice, beans, and eggs served with fresh salsa, and it's served all day. La Palapa has daily lunch specials, all served with rice and beans, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Try a torta, breaded chicken, steak, chorizo, or ham served with mayo, avocado, lettuce, tomato, and jalapenos, all in a hoagie. Plus amazing soups and dinner entrees, all at La Palapa, 5255 Summer Avenue. La Palapa, the little hut with big taste.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Response to the all-new Genesis Diamonds has been incredible. People are loving what we've brought to Memphis. Genesis is a different kind of jewelry store with more jewelry than you've ever seen in one place at prices you never thought possible. But value is just a piece of the Genesis difference. They're taking consumer protection to a whole new level with non-commissioned salespeople, free service for life on any purchase, and a nationwide price guarantee. And listen to this, Genesis is so confident in their diamonds that they offer a groundbreaking 120% upgrade guarantee. This means when you buy a diamond now and bring it back in the future to upgrade it, you'll get your entire original purchase price plus an extra 20%. So if you spend $5,000 on your original diamond, Genesis will give you $6,000 when you trade up to a bigger diamond. Think about it. We'll pay you more than you paid us for the same diamond. Who else does this? Discover the Genesis difference, forever changing how people in Memphis buy diamonds and fine jewelry at Poplar & Perkins, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Hotsy Pressure Washers and Detail Supplies of Memphis takes it all off. They are the #1 cleaning and equipment provider, period. Big or small, Hotsy has the solution. From hot water and cold water pressure washers to industrial soaps and detail supplies, Hotsy has you covered. For our Sports 56 fans, you get 20% off all detail products, so don't miss out on this amazing deal. Call Hotsy today, 901-379-0550, or visit their showroom, conveniently located at Austin P and I-40.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brett and Bryant with you, and we're sitting in our Family Leisure studios and got a big Week 1 Thursday night football game. It's here. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Detroit Lions. A lot of question marks. We kind of talked about it to start the show, but a lot of question marks around this Kansas City Chiefs team that seems like there hasn't been a ton of question marks around them just because of how dominant they've been, how well they've played. But because of the Travis Kelce injury, hyperextended his knee at practice earlier this week. Questionable for tonight. I said it earlier. I've heard a lot of people today on ESPN, on NFL Network, on the internet that have gone back and forth. Some people saying 100% he's playing tonight. Other people saying 100% he is not playing tonight. So we won't really know until we get closer to game time. But also the Chris Jones situation with his contract. He'll be out tonight with no contract for him. And so a lot of question marks going into a Week 1 game against a team that was the Hard Knocks team last year, got a lot of excitement around them, and now are a team that I feel like a lot of people have a lot of faith in going into this year.
We use that term in college so often that it's some teams Super Bowl. Look, in a few weeks when Ole Miss goes into Bryant-Denny Stadium, that's the one shot every 2 years they get at that. That's kind of that Super Bowl this weekend for Tulane. Well, in the NFL, there's only one Super Bowl.
That's right.
But it's kind of a little one tonight for Detroit, isn't it? And everybody talking Kansas City, the defending champs, Mahomes, Arrowhead, even the players that may or may not play tonight, like Kelsey or Chris Jones. And except for Jerry Goff on Detroit, you don't hear anybody else mention. I'm looking forward to seeing Jahmyr Gibbs.
I am too, absolutely. And I think you just kind of hear about Goff just because he's kind of been that guy.
You hear about the
He's
coach.
been all around. You've heard about the coach. You hear about the quarterback all the time. But you're right. I think there are a lot of young guys on this team that I'm really looking forward to watch and seeing
Shouldn't
what they
Aiden
can
Hutchinson get more play than he gets?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's
more conversation. He gets plenty of play. More conversation.
No. I know what you mean. Absolutely. I mean, this is a guy that has the ability and the talent. We saw it at Michigan. We saw it last year for him as a rookie, and it even became a center point of Hard Knocks. I mean, this guy has the ability that we could look back in 3 or 4 years, and this could be one of the best defensive players in the league. And he's shown that in his rookie year. So I think you're right. I think he definitely deserves that. So I think a lot of people like this team just because of kind of the young talent they have. Everybody can fall in love with a young team, a lot of unknown around them, and just the fact that it's Detroit. And Detroit, unfortunately, has not been great the last decade or so. And so I think there's a lot of, longer than that. I saw that look.
Yeah.
But
hadn't won a playoff game since '91. That's the
hard
longest.
To believe.
That's the
really
longest drought in the NFL.
That is,
it is, and how they didn't win any more than they won when they had Barry Sanders, but they didn't. He was great, but they weren't. I'm looking forward tonight to seeing how much Brian Branch, the rookie from Alabama, gets to play for Detroit. We talk about the Eagles being kind of little Georgia. There's a lot of Alabama influence on the Lions.
A lot of Alabama with the Lions, but I mean, I think you can see a lot of that around with some teams in the NFL when you have
Isaiah Boggs on defense for the Lions.
You're absolutely right, but I mean, it's
Jameson
hard.
Williams.
Jameson Williams, that's a good one. But I mean, when you look around and you look at a program like Georgia, you look at a program like Alabama that are producing these high-level athletes at such a high level, why wouldn't you go out and try to get as many possible? And I think Ohio State the same way. Michigan, I think you'll see here in a couple of years be the same way. I mean, for the Eagles and what they've done, their defense that is like 2/3 Georgia players, it doesn't surprise me at all, because why would you not want to go? There's that chemistry in there. They're extremely athletic and great players. So why wouldn't you go get some of these guys from Alabama and Georgia?
And look, I know there's frustration out there, and people are just flat convinced that that ESPN and CBS and Vern and Gary, propped up the SEC for years, and like it really wasn't anything there. Then it was just kind of a figment of the football creation and imagination. No, at draft time, and I say it every year at draft time, when the world's best football league sees fit to restock with more from one league, that's telling you who's best.
You're absolutely right.
And someday if it goes, they draft more from the Horizon League, that's telling you the Horizon League's the best college football league.
That's right. I mean, it's you can watch on a Saturday, you can watch the SEC, and you can see all of the talent running around the field everywhere.
That first half between LSU and FSU, and I know Florida State's not in the SEC, but that looked different than any game all last weekend, that first half.
No, you're absolutely right. It was just athletes all over the field on both sides of the ball. And so, you see that all the time in the SEC. And so it's not a surprise when you look up in the NFL and you see a lot of those same players in the NFL and becoming stars in the NFL. And if people want to say there's some sort of bias or something, go for it. But, the athletes are going to the best teams that are in the best conferences, and it's just kind of a funnel after that.
You said earlier that this matchup, there were so many different, I guess the Kansas City, are they in a year that they play 8 or 9 games at home?
Ooh, I don't know. I'll have to check.
So you had either 8 or 9 options for TV on this first night. So they were going to put the champ on TV,
sure.
And there were a lot of other options. And this one, when the schedule came out, a lot of people were wondering, really why do this?
Yeah.
But as it has built, I'm glad we're having kind of this touch.
I am too. I think this is a really good matchup because
that was a good take for you.
Yeah, thank you. And I just think, obviously, Kansas City being this dynasty, being the champs, you want to have them in one of the first games. But for the Lions, we've talked about this a lot throughout the offseason. This Lions team, I think, being on Hard Knocks last year helped a lot because it's such a big franchise of Hard Knocks. People love watching that, and you can get that connection with those players, with that team, especially a team like the Lions. Then they go out and have an impressive year last year, and so then you come into this year, and if you just look at the Lions' schedule and look at the amount of nationally televised games they're playing, the executives are seeing people like this Lions team, people like to watch this Lions team, they're a compelling team, we need to put them on national television, and so we're getting that in the first game of the year against the champs, and I think it's going to be a fun matchup.
I got my answer. 8 home games for Kansas City, but they play one of the international games that they're the designee for home. So they had 8 options to kick off this game if they were going to give them the home opener, and they usually do to the champ. They don't always. There's sometimes there's been a little deviation of that, and then they had the year that the Orioles wouldn't accommodate the Ravens. So they didn't get to open at home after they won it in 2013. But unlike Major League Baseball, the NFL they really know what they're doing. They got this down. They just didn't say, let's put Detroit out there.
No, it's a perfect science in the NFL, Brett. You're right. They know what they're doing, and I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a really fun game. This game has ever since the Travis Kelce questionability of him playing or not went down from about a touchdown to 4.5. It's sitting at 4.5 for the Chiefs. So interesting line there for this game tonight.
I'm for the Lions tonight. I mean, it's no anti-Kansas City there. I want the Lions story to play out, and I'm going to watch and enjoy the game. I bet you didn't think I could turn this into a bashing Rob Manfred segment, but I can in the last few minutes.
Wow, okay.
I was telling a friend of mine earlier today, I don't know how, I don't know what the scenario is, but somehow, some way, between now and him handing the commissioner's trophy to some team's owner, baseball has a major gaffe between now and then. Something really... maybe something as wild as, and I don't want any people scoffing at me and saying, oh, no, there's no way that could happen. But what if we got into just a really crazy extra inning game early in the playoffs? Say a 16, 17 inning early in the playoff game.
Okay.
And they reinstituted, we're going back to how we do it in the regular season. Runner at second.
In the middle of a game like that, you're like in the 15th or...
No.
Oh, okay, good.
After we have that long one. Well, I hadn't even thought about it in the middle of it, but that may be it. But no, after we have that long game the next day of just too long, TV partners can't stand it, it taxes too many bullpens. So from here on, the rest of the playoffs, we go Ghost Runner.
While you were saying that, I could just picture Rob Manfred in a box at a game somewhere. It's like the 16th inning, and he's calling down saying, this game's going on too long. We got it. Next inning, put somebody on second.
I don't rule that out.
I don't either.
That wasn't even the preposterous scenario I came up with.
It's even more preposterous. No, I mean, it could happen. But it's hard to think that we only have, a couple months left in the year, and you said that, and I think we can both agree that it's probably a pretty good chance something like that happens. It's just
you never go broke expecting that baseball to embarrass themselves from the commissioner, from the head of the sport.
It's crazy. It's crazy from the recommendation jars that he just has to have for some of these ideas. It's crazy, but hopefully not. Hopefully we don't get to that point.
Are the Yankees hot?
Maybe. I mean, the Martian has gone in there and really given them some juice. What was it?
Does it matter?
No. No, not at all. I think too little, too late. But it's awesome to see. I mean, Jason Dominguez gets called up, and Jay Morgan made a point to bring it up multiple times because he was saying you have to watch this kid play. He goes out opening night, hits a home run on the first pitch he sees in Major League Baseball. The next day he hits another home run. That kid's special, and I think when you have a guy like that in your clubhouse, I mean that carries over, and that it's contagious.
Spit some juice.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're fun to watch right now, but I think it's just a little too late, and I don't know. I think New Yorkers can turn their attention to the Jets or the Giants if that's their team. But tonight will be fun with Thursday Night Football. Like I said, Chiefs -4.5 is the line right now. Brett, you brought it up earlier about off air. If you asked me if I liked anything in this game, and I said, Brett, I'm not one. I can't decide one way or the other for this game, week one. So 901-360-8255. If you have a lean one way or the other in this game, you have any locks, let me know. I'll take picks on the game, on the spread. I'll take totals. I'll take player props. If you've got a bet for tonight's game, text it in because I need something to play tonight. But let's get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
What should we do with the broke propeller? What should we do with the broke propeller? Don't look at me, I wasn't driving. Thank you, you're not helping. I don't even know why you bought this boat. You told me that you loved this boat. That was before you wrecked the boat. Well, now you've made it awkward.
Accidents don't just happen in sea shanties, so Progressive Boat Insurance has you covered. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms and not available for all boats or in all situations.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, I have two big numbers today because the second one is coming in as breaking news just since we've gone to break. Travis Kelce, so 87 is my big number. I think I just let the cat out of the bag. 87 for that's Travis Kelce's number. He is reported out tonight for the Kansas City Chiefs, so he will not be playing tonight. That definitely throws in a little curveball for the Chiefs tonight. We did get some text messages. John texted in and said Kansas City money line's the easiest bet for tonight. He thinks they still even cover the spread, but I don't know. With Travis Kelce officially being out, that could change some things.
He's Mr. Safety Valve for Patrick Mahomes. And you look at that receiving core, you take him out, and this could be a problem going forward all year. It's good. It's not scary, though.
No, you are absolutely right. So Travis Kelce out tonight for the Chiefs. My second big number is going to be 16. I saw this on social media today because of the start of the NFL season. A lot of these college football accounts have been posting things connected between college football and NFL. So 16 is my second big number. You'll see 11 at some other places, but I'll use 16 in terms of this big number. Memphis has 16 players in the NFL now. That includes active roster, reserve, and practice squad players. So 16, with a couple of those guys being on the practice squad. I saw another number going around today of 11 because the Tigers have 11 active players in the NFL on active rosters. But 16, that is number one in the current American Athletic Conference. It ties for first with SMU and Temple, which you can look at. And if you're a pessimistic person, you can say, well, the American, I mean, how many, especially these new teams coming in, how many of those players are going to the NFL? But I think the biggest part of this is looking at that number 16 associated with the University of Memphis's football program and saying that there are currently 16 guys in the NFL. 11 of those 16 are active roster players that will be looked to at some point this year, maybe not a starter at the beginning of the season, but at some point this year they will be pointed to and said, we need you to go in there and make a play. And when you look back at where this Memphis program was just a couple of years ago, to think that there would be 16 players in the NFL from some of these recent teams is astounding. If you had told me when I was in middle school, Brian, you're going to be talking about 16 players in the NFL and a lot of those guys being starters and difference makers for their teams, I would tell you you're crazy. I would never believe that, but here we are, and I think it's definitely shows just how far this Memphis football program has gone and is continuing to go.
And it's rubber meeting the road when they have recruits in, and I haven't ever seen it, but they say that team room they have at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium that was built especially for the Tigers, that it is really nice for recruiting purposes. When they bring those guys in and they have kind of their cutouts up there, they can definitively say you can go to the NFL playing right here.
Yeah. One, and especially, I mean, two things on that is one, the road that a lot of these players have taken to get there has not been easy. Calvin Austin, who is really the most recent big one that a lot of people point to of NFL guys, was a walk-on when he started. I mean, a local guy that walked on at Memphis and is now in the NFL. And we talked to Bo Marchant a lot, and he says he's going to be a guy that they're going to look to this year. So I think that's a big thing of where it came from. And then just the fact that they come back. I mean, you see those guys all the time at games. They love coming back on off weeks when they have a chance to get back to Memphis and come to a game or an event. They're always here, and I think that's huge for the program.
And you know what I love it is when they wear their letter jacket.
Oh,
my big number is 66, and I know there's probably not a bet out there anywhere tonight, but I would take this with people on a good flyer with good odds. At some point early in the broadcast, they're going to talk about the Chief Dynasty. And Patrick Mahomes already with 2, and where does it stop? And it could easily be 2 more with him for sure. But you're going to get this number. You're going to get 66. The last time the Detroit Lions won one, and it wasn't even a Super Bowl.
Man.
It was an NFL championship.
Geez.
in 1957, played at Old Tiger Stadium, then named Briggs Stadium. And I think Old Tiger Stadium was one of those, Bryant, like old Metropolitan in Minneapolis, where both teams were sidelined on the same side.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine that now?
No. I see a lot of that. Obviously, it's a little different in like soccer because you kind of have like a seating area that you sit in. But like,
sure,
I'll be watching like lacrosse, like college lacrosse, or now they have like a big professional lacrosse league that they show some of their games on ESPN and stuff, and they're on the same sidelines. Like, and there's just a line, and they're all just standing there. And every once in a while, it'll get a little chippy, and I'm like, man,
has to.
But I just think about like, lacrosse is a very physical game, but like. Football, having teams on the same sidelines in football, I mean, that sounds like worst case scenario.
I remember distinctly that in Minneapolis at Old Metropolitan.
Yeah.
I do not at Detroit, but I think I've been told that at one time everybody sidelined on one side. Just think now with these coaches as paranoid as they are, with anybody kind of traipsing around on their sideline, and now I can remember some high school gyms, and I think West Memphis at the heyday of Michael Cage and Keith Lee. They were on one end, and both were on that end, if I remember that correctly. I know it was on the ends, sure, like at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
But I won't even say they both were on one end of the gym at West Memphis. But can you imagine, especially the tool factory that baseball that it is, if somebody had to share a dugout?
Oh, man, that'd be hilarious. You talk about college football with all these coaches wanting to be secretive and how it would just be crazy if they were all on the same sideline. My favorite thing now in college football is seeing the offensive coordinator will call play in, and they'll have the people behind them holding up these big, tall, like, I don't even know what it
drapes.
is. It's
Curtains.
just like drapes. I mean, it's like a curtain to hide it. And then my favorite thing, though, is on ESPN. It's mainly ESPN games. They'll have like one shot where it's down behind, and this comes up, and then they'll go to another camera. It'll be on the other side of the field, and so you can clearly see the calls that these offensive coordinators are making. It is so funny.
I've got a friend of mine, a great guy, pays big money, sits on the front row at Vaught Hemingway Stadium, about the 40-yard line, south end, press box side, and he texted me during the game last week. He goes, I'm calling Keith Carter on Monday.
No.
I said, first of all, he's going to be out on Monday. It's Labor Day.
It's Labor Day. Call him Tuesday.
He goes, I'm paying too much money for these big curtains to be up in front of us. I can't really blame. I can't blame him at all.
No, I didn't even think about that. That's got to be awful. I mean, that's no fun.
It's so paranoid.
Sure
Golly,
is. It sure is. I mean, we've gotten so paranoid in college football.
Do we just need to exist in like in a space station bubble around college?
It seems
sports?
like some of these coaches think they do, though, already. I mean, they don't let anybody in for anything.
And then at the team hotel, I mean, if you walk through one of those, especially one of those areas designated for like your team, it's everybody.
Sure.
And you have on the other team's gear. Well,
I believe it.
82nd Airborne starts falling out of the ceiling.
I believe it. But before we get to a break, I've got to tell you about Bell Tavern, because you've got a great opportunity to go and enjoy Bell Tavern tonight. It's your neighborhood bar located at 117 Barbaro Alley, right behind 117 Prime. Open from 4 to 11 Wednesday through Saturday and 4 to 8 on Sundays. I know nobody likes a loud bar where you can't hear yourself think, much less talk, but that is the opposite of Bell Tavern. They're not a sports bar. They're just a bar that has a lot of TVs turned on to sports, and that's a great place to be tonight for the start of the NFL and for Sunday night football. Start your night with a gourmet burger and one of their great cocktails in a quiet, dimly lit bar that you can enjoy a game at with your friends. And it's not just the burgers. Bell Tavern has the best bar food in Memphis and the coldest beer in the city. You know 117 Prime. Just walk through their dining room and you're at the best best bar in town. For more information about our friends at Bell Tavern, give them a call at 901-249-6580 or go online to belltavern.com. That'll do it for our second hour. Let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk Tigers with Greg Gaston.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park and New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Hotsy Pressure Washers and Detail Supplies of Memphis takes it all off. They are the #1 cleaning and equipment provider, period. Big or small, Hotsy has the solution. From hot water and cold water pressure washers to industrial soaps and detail supplies, Hotsy has you covered. For our Sports 56 fans, you get 20% off all detail products, so don't miss out on this amazing deal. Call Hotsy today, 901-379-0550, or visit their showroom, conveniently located at Austin P and I-40.
Response to the all-new Genesis Diamonds has been incredible. People are loving what we've brought to Memphis. Genesis is a different kind of jewelry store with more jewelry than you've ever seen in one place at prices you never thought possible. What's the Genesis secret? Our owner was born and raised in the diamond industry in Tel Aviv. After selling wholesale to high-end jewelry retailers for years, he hated the insane markups they were getting away with. So he stopped selling to the stores and started selling direct to the public. That philosophy is still a core part of Genesis DNA as we continue to sell the highest quality diamonds at true no-middleman direct importer prices. With international connections and massive buying power, Genesis has what it takes to beat anyone else's price every day on every diamond. Discover the Genesis difference, forever changing how people in Memphis buy diamonds and fine jewelry. Now open at Poplar and Perkins, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus. From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 Mornings along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Talking to Greg Gaston about the Tigers. He joins us now. You can hear him on the Tiger sidelines for every single Tiger football game. You can also hear him every morning with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli. Greg, thanks so much for joining us. And it was a big win for the Tigers in Week 1 against Bethune-Cookman. But how much did you think we actually learned about this team after one game of the season?
Well, first of all, guys, good afternoon. I am very touched by that open. Thank you so much.
We're glad you like it.
That's awfully nice of you guys to do that. You didn't need
Every
to do
word
that.
true.
I appreciate it. Oh, thank you so much. I don't know if we learned a lot, Brian. I don't think so. They certainly ran the offense pretty vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
They played incredibly well defensively, but again, it wasn't against a juggernaut offense. I'm sure they learned, the coaches did, a little bit more about individual players and how hard they're going to go on every play and which guys they can, that kind of stuff. You learn a little bit more about whether you're playing a top-notch opponent or not. And with all due respect to Bethune, they certainly were not. But you want to see guys that go 110% every single play, and those are the guys that you're going to count on throughout the season. So I don't think we learned a lot. I don't think we learned a lot for the Tigers getting ready for Arkansas State this weekend by watching Arkansas State get obliterated by Oklahoma. So, again, I wouldn't go into this game if you were a Tiger fan thinking that it's an automatic W, or even an Arkansas State fan and going, hey, I'm distraught, now we're going to get clobbered again. Don't look at it that way. It's one game. It's hard to learn a lot from one game.
I swear, both sides, I would treat it as opening night.
Brett, there's no question about it. We met with the coaches today, and they didn't say that exactly, but they kind of were beating around the bush that that's the way they're looking at it. They're not going to depend that much on tape from – look, Oklahoma's a really strong program. And obviously Arkansas State very disappointed that they didn't even compete, right? You knew they were going to lose the game. Let's be honest here. There's a lot of teams that are going to go to Norman and lose the game, but they weren't competitive. So they're very disappointed about that. But they're going to bounce back from that and be competitive. They have players, listening to the Tigers coaching staff. They talked about some of these players, the veteran secondary that they have, which will make it a little bit tougher for Hennigan when he faces them on Saturday night. And then vice versa, when Arkansas State, Butch Jones, and that staff's looking at Memphis, they're going to see a Tigers offense that can score points, but they're also going to see a defense that they went up against where most teams are going to score points against. You can't learn a lot from one single game, especially when you're playing that type of an opponent, whether it's big time like Oklahoma, or whether, again, it's a 1AA, an FCS team like Bethune-Cookman that's really just trying to find their way.
Greg, one thing I really liked watching was what Blake Watson did in his first game, because, when you talk about the opponent and everything, but what I saw from him, very, very high motor and is going to run hard. I saw one play in particular, I think it was kind of in the second quarter maybe, where Blake Watson cuts up, kind of gets some space, gets hit at I think the 24-yard line, and wasn't brought down until the 48-yard line. So, this is a guy that is going to run hard, and I was really impressed of what he did with 3 touchdowns in the first half. What do you think this duo of him and Sutton Smith could be for this offense this year?
Wow, I like it a lot. Great observation by you with Blake Watson. That goes back to what I was saying earlier, that the coaches are looking at what player is going to go hard every single play. That guy was impressive. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but
Sure.
we know what he was able to do at Old Dominion before he came to Memphis. I like him an awful lot. He's a veteran running back, so he's been there and done that. Sutton Smith's getting that opportunity. 100-yard rusher. Memphis, it's been a while for you have to go back a ways to find their last 100-yard rusher, and you know those great running backs that they had. So it's been a while now. So give credit to the offensive line and give credit to those running backs. But that is a real nice 1-2 tandem in Watson and Smith and Watson, whichever way you look at it. But don't forget, they still have Jay Ducker.
Yep.
Jay Ducker is expected to play this weekend. They were talking today, the coaches were to us, that they're very, very confident in Jay Ducker, but they really emphasize the two-headed monster of Watson and Smith.
Greg, I have a really soft spot for this game and for Arkansas State for a lot of reasons. The Eastern Arkansas guy, I've known about him all my life, and I've been to great Arkansas State Tigers games. Brian, I was even at a great tie one
You're
time
kidding.
between 1990
That's great.
to open the season. Boy, Greg, trying to explain to these youngins about a tie
Foreign language
is really difficult. But Greg, from the Tigers' perspective, and you know it so well, do you feel a lot of passion around this game? Do you feel a big market for this game among Tiger fans?
By the way, the only tie the youngsters know now is the clip-on ones that they use.
That's
They
it.
can even tie
Hey, is that a clip-on? Yeah.
I don't know how to tie a tie.
I look. You know what? I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, that Brett knows this. But I've been here since '95, and there's been a number of Memphis Arkansas State games that I have covered. I do not recall ever once them talking about the Paint Bucket Bowl. But I'm sure you know that there's a history here when Memphis
there
played
is.
Arkansas
Right.
State. Yeah,
but it's so long ago, and not anybody's motivated by that. I mean, it's not even to the level of the Bones.
It's not even close to, and forget about the old Oaken Bucket. I mean, we're not even close to that.
Yeah.
But there is a history, and it goes back a ways, and it's a regional rivalry. So it's important, but it's not a conference game for either school, and people know that. So to answer your question, I don't think there's a lot of buzz around this. And I think the buzz, if there was going to be any, was lessened when fans saw what happened to Arkansas State at Oklahoma and saw what Memphis did. So I don't know if Memphis Tigers fans are worried, and they shouldn't be worried, but don't think for a second that this can't be and won't be a competitive game. But I just don't think there's the buzz that you would probably have normally. If both these teams, let's say, started off with big W's, and then it kind of builds it up a little bit. But because one lost 73-0, it kind of loses its luster a little bit. But that'll change once they kick off on Saturday.
Greg Gaston, our guest, he's on the Tigers sideline, and he's with us every Thursday year-round. It's brought to you by the law offices of Stephen Leffler, Neil's Bar and Grill, Mount Moriah Auto Sales, and Chet Whitsitt, your Cry-Like realtor. Have you ever seen a team that lost by 73, underdog by 20, and all the pressure's on the other team?
That's a really good point. Actually, if you think about it, there's sort of pressure on both. And the reason with Arkansas State is not so much on the team, but we know that Butch Jones, who, look, you know him well, I know him well. He's been a friend of the show. He's been on this every time we've asked for him, whether he was at Tennessee or Arkansas State, to come on the show. He has come on the show. I like Butch an awful lot. But Butch has won 5 games. And we know that long
5 and
line
20.
of great, that long line of great coaches, Brett, as you know, that have rolled through Jonesboro. And Butch wants to be that next one, but they have stumbled out of the gate. So this is extremely important for them. It would go a long way to upset Memphis, especially going in as more than a 3-touchdown underdog, and you're the home team. So hopefully, for his sake, they play well, they're competitive, but it could be a long year and certainly a hot seat year for Butch Jones. But for Memphis, yeah, you look forward to what's coming up. Boise, the Missouri game in St. Louis, and then those other conference games of note, of course, Tulane and SMU at home. You want to get to the American Conference Championship game. So there's pressure. Even though this is not a conference game and won't affect that, you want to be in position to be one of the best in the nation in the group of 5. You want to be the best to go to the Group of Five game or the I don't know if it's the Cotton Bowl this year or whichever bowl it is, but the New Year's Day game, you want to do it because you have tasted it before. You have been a part of it before. So you lose as a 21.5-point underdog, or excuse me, as a 21.5-point favorite. I don't care who it's to. It is not going to sit well with the fan base. Then you worry about Thursday's quick turnaround against Navy, how many folks are going to want to come out and see the Tigers. Whereas if the Tigers go in, take care of business, win convincingly, 2-0, you got Navy coming on Thursday, you can play that one up. And I think the fans will certainly come out and support their team. But that's why it's really important for Memphis and why it's important for Arkansas State, despite this not being obviously a conference game.
Greg, you mentioned earlier that Jay Ducker is expected to play this weekend against Arkansas State. Have you heard any updates about Joe Skates, who is also out week 1 with an injury?
Yeah, they believe both will be able to play. And they also were talking about Kobe Drake, who did a really nice job in punt returns in the opener, and also obviously is a good possession receiver, slot guy. He got banged up a little bit, but he is a full go. He's been practicing. So from a health standpoint, Memphis looks to be darn healthy going into this game.
Oh, that's great.
Do you think something very capable to maybe even as good or better at tight end has been found to replace Caden Prescorn?
No. I think Lanphier can be really good, but they lost over really. You know how good Caden Prescorn is.
Sure did.
And hopefully he'll be back sooner than later for Ole Miss. I really believe Caden Prescorn one day will be playing in the National Football League. I think
he's Dawson Knox 2.0.
Wow.
I mean, almost the same background of a quarterback type background, but that tight end position across college football and especially in the NFL, that's the safety net, safety valve when it's all going crazy and you got to crack some eggs and make scrambled eggs out of something. You got to have a tight end you can find, and I hope one emerges for the Tigers.
Oh, Brett, you're so right. You can depend on those tight ends. First of all, they seem to be always open.
I almost said chicken salad out of you know what, Greg, but I'd get in big trouble if I did that.
Exactly. They normally have great hands. So Anthony Lanphier, they really are confident in him. He caught a 2-point conversion in the game against Bethune-Cookman, but he's a guy they say they're confident that they can throw the ball to. He'll catch the ball. He blocks really well. Brendan Doyle is from the same college, believe it or not, in San Mateo, the College of San Mateo. So both those guys obviously followed each other. Lanphier, Doyle, 1 and 2 as far as the depth chart is concerned. But they also have another tight end, Chisholm, who has been playing basically a fullback in goal line situations and on 4th and shorts or 3rd and shorts. Like, that guy will come in, and they have the confidence not only for him to be the lead blocker, which he is ferocious. He's like a brick wall. But they have confidence even to throw the ball to him, or maybe even down the road, give him a tote or two inside the one or something like that. So you have that guy, and then there's also the wide receiver Smith, who's a transfer from the University of Colorado, who's a big, strong guy who's still basically learning and developing. So they feel very confident in the tight ends that they were able to go out and get. Now, Lanphier was with the team last year, but they're very confident. They also have a young guy named Reed Flanagan, who's hurt and is a local guy. So, yes, it's a lot to ask for to replace a guy that produced like Caden Prescorn, or before him, what was the kid's name from LSU?
Joey Magnifico.
No, between Joey Magnifico and Sean Dyke.
Yes.
Really good tight end, pass-catching tight end. So they have had, you mentioned Magnifico, they have had tight ends that have produced over the years, and hopefully these guys will be able to step in for Prescorn.
Greg, what did you think of the receiving group in Game 1? It really looked like Hennigan was targeting Rock Taylor a lot early, and I thought Rock Taylor did a great job in that first game, kind of the only guy in that group that has been here for a couple of years. Do you think he could be the go-to guy? I know Demir Blankensee had a lot of targets a little bit later in the game, but do you think this could be maybe a breakout season for Rock?
Yes, I think that's going to be your number one option for Seth Hennigan. Taylor last year did some good things, but he was so inconsistent.
Yeah.
And now it looks like he has figured out how to hold on to that football, because you don't hold on to the football, that's a quick way to find yourself on the bench, or at least a quarterback who's not going to be confident to throw it to you. Rock Taylor had a really good, strong first game. I think he will be the guy. Blankency, we saw his speed. He's a jitterbug type receiver. He's a veteran. He comes from Toledo. But a smaller guy, that's a guy you're going to see. They're going to get him the ball out in the flat, try to get some blockers in front. They like him a lot. Tosti Dove is the big guy that came from Missouri, who I thought had a solid first game as well. Now you get Joe Skates more than likely back. He's your home run hitter. They like Marcelo Busty, a Hutchinson Community College transfer. So they're very excited about this wide receiver core, and it's basically, as you know, Brian, it's an overhaul from last year, but Rock Taylor is the guy that, of those five I just mentioned, that returns, and I do believe he'll be the number one wide receiver as the season moves along.
So the trip over to Arkansas State on Saturday, Dave told us on Tuesday that the team bus is over. It makes sense. It's just a quick trip over and a quick trip back. And we mentioned the pressure involved in this game. And we're also going to have 2 years of no matchup. This kind of ends this run. Do you think the absence will make the heart grow fonder after Saturday? And if it's a Tiger blowout Saturday, I think Arkansas State would be kind of glad to have a little break in this series. I don't think that would increase Tiger enthusiasm for when it renews in 26 or so.
Yeah, they look, if Arkansas State can't get it done at home, they're probably thinking to themselves, good riddance. We'll wait for a couple of years. We do need maybe some new blood. And maybe Memphis fans will look at that way as well. But it's such an easy drive for fans to go to Jonesboro when the game is in Jonesboro. It's an easy drive for Arkansas State fans to go from Jonesboro to Memphis. I don't think it's a game that should be played every year by any stretch of the imagination, but I like it more often than not. It just makes a lot of sense. As you said, Brett, they're going to bus over. They're going to bus over on Saturday. They're going to do their regular home routine on Friday. They're going to stay
that helps budget
at the Holiday Inn.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
That helps budget.
Yeah, well, it helps budget, but also they love routine. You know, coaches are creatures of habit, right? So if they can keep that home routine for a road game, that's exactly what they're going to do. But I don't know about the long-term future about this rivalry. It's nice. I like it. I like these games. I don't want to see it every year because people want to see variety. That's why I think they're going to be excited when Boise State comes to town. It's great when you get the chance, obviously, to see Ole Miss, to see Mississippi State, to see one of the big boys from the SEC. That's fantastic. And Ryan Silverfield was saying, look, they'll play home and home, 2-for-1. They'll do that. He doesn't mind opening the season with a strong team like last year going down to Starkville, as opposed to just simply playing. Let's say what it really is, and that's the cream puff in their opener this year. But he's fine opening up with a tough game. So I think fans just want to see a strong home schedule. They want to see a little variety, see somebody different. That's why I think there's excitement about Boise State. Now, here's the thing about Boise State that's the bad part is when they do the return game, there's not going to be many people that are going to go out to Boise.
Right.
It's expensive. It's long. It's not easy to get there. There's not a direct flight from Memphis. So that's the downside of it, or the downside of it. But when you have a game against an Arkansas State, it's a nice little rivalry. There's history there, and it's a quick little drive for either way.
Greg, before we let you go, I know a lot of talk about football right now, but I do want to get your thoughts on Mikey Williams. His preliminary hearing postponed again earlier this week. It's now postponed until October 10th. Were you surprised with yet another postponement in this trial, and what do you think this means for Williams and the Tigers this season?
Yeah, I don't have any idea what this new discovery is, but that's twice that his attorney has seemingly found new information. I don't know what it is, if they have to present it right away to the judge to prove that there is new discovery as opposed to just kind of trying to delay things and hoping that maybe all of a sudden they'll drop the case or there'll be a plea deal. I have no idea how the law works as far as that's concerned, but just using common sense, I didn't think he was going to be on the team with the hearing on September 5th, and I don't believe he's going to be on the team now with a hearing October 10th. I just don't see how it's possible.
I don't either, Greg, and it doesn't even feel like in a rosy scenario, he's very much interested in being involved with a team.
Right, exactly. I don't know what's swirling through that kid's head. The only thing that he should be worried about is that he doesn't go to jail. That's what he should be worried
That's
about.
right.
He shouldn't be worried about basketball. I know people have seen him in Memphis several different times, and that's nice. Look, I hope he gets it straightened out. I don't think he should suffer his entire life for doing something extremely stupid. Luckily for him, it didn't hit anybody, the bullets that were discharged. And hopefully Mikey gets on the right path and has a very good life and a very good basketball career wherever it may take him. But I just don't see this thing. I mean, again, is he taking classes? Has he been admitted to school? When is the deadline to be registered for classes? I don't know all that stuff. It's been a long time since I was in school. Brian, you were in school recently. I'm not sure what the deadline is, but I would imagine that he's probably not taking classes.
No, I would say he probably isn't.
Brian, Greg was in school so long ago, like me, that literally the computer room, we took around punch cards.
Well, times have changed, I guess.
Remember those, Greg?
It was ancient times when we would take our audio tape, put it in the thing, slice it, right? Like, or what do they call it? Splice it up, cut it with a little knife or whatever it was, and like a pocket knife type thing, and then put it together with the magnetic tape to hold it together. It was so primitive.
It really was. Look how far we've come from then, Greg.
But we made it. We made it. We got our degrees. We made it through school. That's good.
Well, Brett, I can always make Greg feel old by bringing up the fact that I was in one of his news sports stories when I was 3 years old at the New Orleans Bowl. So
you got to do that, huh?
If we want to just talk about how long it's been.
Oh my God! And how old are you now?
I'm 23, so 20 years ago.
I'm ancient, my friend.
I'm just very young, I guess.
Greg, be safe.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks, guys. I really appreciate the nice open and the kind words. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Thanks, Greg.
You got it. Greg Gaston with us every week, and he'll hear that open every week, and we're glad to do it, and we mean it. Greg Gaston on the Tiger sideline. You can hear him Saturday night during the game over at Centennial Bank in Jonesboro against Arkansas State. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville since 1961. Charles Hall, he started working there in his teens, and now with his wife, they own the place. And it's known for a lot. It's known for boots. It's known for hats. It's known for Western wear. But they have clothing and accessories and a cap for any team and for any season. You're making the drive over. For the game Saturday, you need one of those Tiger hats for the game Saturday night and for this season. You need a couple of them. Western wear, work boots, safety toe or soft toe rubber boots. They've got them all. Boots for every occasion at Hewlett & Dunn on the historic square in Collierville. From head to toe, they got you covered with every brand imaginable, like Ariat, Dan Post, Anderson Bean. Whether it's for men or women, they have you covered. Men's and women's clothing, jeans, pants, shirts, shorts, outerwear, and the best duckhead collection you'll find. Charles and Laura Hall, they invite you to 111 North Center Street or to HewlettDunn.com on the square in Collierville. Stop by and see them. Hats, sunglasses, boot care products, and every area team snapback cool hat you can think of, like the Tigers, like Mississippi State, Tennessee, Ole Miss, the Razorbacks, the Grizzlies, and more. And for travel, the bag selection, it's top notch. HewlettDunn.com, but visit and say hello at 111 North Center Street on the square in Collierville at Hewlett & Dunn.
Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Is your roof leaking? Do you have water damage on your ceiling of your home or business? Do you need assistance gathering much-needed data and images from your storm-damaged roof for an insurance claim? Call Metro Builders, roof and restoration specialists, and schedule your free inspection. At Metro Builders, our team of Hague-certified technicians and fully trained estimators are ready to come out and evaluate any concerns you may have. Metro Builders Roof and Restoration. We accept all insurance carrier scopes. Call Metro Builders now. Each and every day, we provide clients many different types of data and estimates for their insurance carrier. These include estimate and photo reports of all damage, from the roof to water damage on rafters and ceilings and even studs and plates inside walls. Check out the local BBB for our 27-year history in construction in Memphis, or check us out online today at metrobuildersmemphis.com. That's metrobuildersmemphis.com for your local residential and commercial roofing and restoration experts. Call me Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Cooling or heating system on the fritz? Dripping faucet? Call the pros at Conway Services today and we'll waive the service call fee with any HVAC or plumbing repair. Expert technicians available 7 days a week. Call 384-3511 to schedule your appointment. Visit conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions.
License number 64210, 64365 EAS, MS 19688.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. We got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and a couple things I want to get to during this segment, what's trending, but I do want to get your thoughts now with Travis Kelce officially being out tonight. I know we spent a lot of time today on this game, but Brett, I'm curious of your thoughts, how much this affects. I meant to go and look to see if the betting line has changed any, that now that he's officially out, or if it's sitting still at 4 or not. Right now, it's dropped down from 4.5 to 4, so it's moved slightly. But Brett, how much does this affect tonight's game?
I think it affects it, and I was wrong. I thought he would go. It must be really be cautious, especially early in the year. Don't empty the tank on week 1. And for Detroit, they're not going to care that he's out there. That 1-0 on the road, that will be against the Super Bowl champs, whether he's there or not. So, but I do think it will affect Kansas City, because I don't know that they have a great receiving core, right. And now that if they can just not even game plan for a tight end, I think it will affect it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and we know that connection that Patrick Mahomes has with Travis Kelce. I mean, I think safety valve is kind of an understatement of that relationship, and just kind of I feel like Patrick Mahomes, every single time he drops back, in his mind he thinks, no matter how this play goes, I can find Travis Kelce and I know he's going to make a play. And so I think there's that confidence and that belief that they're going to have each other, and that they'll be able to both make plays. And so without Travis Kelce, I think you're right. I think that's a big factor that's not going to be playing tonight.
And look, he's almost he's not maybe not a bigger face of the team as Patrick Mahomes is, but he's a big one. You see him everywhere.
Oh,
there's a lot of. We get a lot of Travis Kelce.
We get a lot, and now him and his brother are doing a podcast, I guess. I heard that. I've seen it, I guess, but John was talking yesterday about the
they
podcast
have to cuss on it, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I haven't heard it. I haven't listened to it, so I don't know. But if I had to guess, I would say I'm sure it's not censored.
At this point, who doesn't have a podcast?
I mean, everybody has a podcast. I mean, podcasting is as big as having a cell phone.
Matthew Stafford's wife has a podcast. It got her in trouble.
Sure
and
did.
he had to nicely tell her, honey, you've said enough.
Honey, don't do that again. Yeah, that was unfortunate, seeing that, which I don't know what kind of podcast she's on, like what kind of the main topic of her podcasts are, but I mean, I honestly agree that that's probably a big problem that he's having with connecting with some of these younger guys with technology. Everybody has a phone and they're on social media and everything. I mean, maybe you shouldn't share that on a podcast that millions of people are listening to, especially after it becomes headline news, and then certainly millions and millions of people are listening to. But I don't think it's a lie. I'm sure Stafford's come home and been like, man, I cannot connect with these young guys at all. And so when I heard that, I know a lot of people were surprised about it, but I wasn't surprised at all.
You just wonder how hungry he is, too. You know, he got the Super Bowl, and you know his place in Detroit Lion history is set. He's the greatest Lions quarterback ever.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a good question, and I think you could see that, especially with some of these older quarterbacks, that you're getting to a point where there's that almost generation gap between you and these young receivers and running backs that are coming into the league, and at some point you just can't connect to them, and that might be when it's your time to go, especially when you're a guy like Matt Stafford, who you're pretty set. You don't really need to continue playing.
It's a quick sample of time, but I would love to get this from people, and we'll do this again tomorrow at 901-360-8255. What's your appetite on the Arkansas State series? Now, you know my policy about playing locally and everybody trying to play each other. But, Brian, a lot of the lack of appetite, a lot of the we'll see you when we see you from the Tiger fans to Arkansas State, now that makes Tiger fans mad when they hear that from Ole Miss.
Right.
And some of the same things. I mean, if you just laid out and kind of changed a few of the names and few of the topics, it's almost the same thing. Want to play some, don't want to play all the time. Want to do other things, don't want to play you all the time. Don't want to travel to your place. Almost some of the same things you hear about the lack of kind of really embracing that series. You hear the same thing, and Arkansas State has played historically much closer than Memphis has Ole Miss.
Yeah, and I mean, for me at least, I mean, a guy that has grown up my entire life going to Tiger games and being a Tiger fan. I mean, some of my best memories as a kid were going to Arkansas State games on the road. I mean, that trip, it's not far. You can make it in a day, and kind of loading up with our family and maybe another family or some family friends and driving over there. They were great memories because of how close it is, that regional rivalry, being able to just get over there real quick. I've told you before, one of my favorite Tiger memories was one year Memphis played at Arkansas State, and a just monsoon came down like before the start of the game. And so my parents, because my parents have been going to Memphis games way before I was born and were huge Tiger fans, would go on road trips all the time. And so they were like, we're not going home. We came to see a football game, and we're going to see the football game, by golly. And so we went to Walmart and bought ponchos and umbrellas and everything we needed and went to the game. It was a good game. I think Memphis won. And driving back, I slept on the floor in the car because I was just exhausted, but it was one of my best memories. And so I just hate the idea of this rivalry ending or people not caring about this rivalry, because maybe it's not a rivalry that you want to be your biggest rivalry of the year, but it's still a fun rivalry because of how close it is. That trip, there's a lot of local guys here that go to Arkansas State to play football. There's a lot of guys from that area that come here to play football, and vice versa. So I mean, I think there's a lot of good to playing Arkansas State on a yearly basis.
I do too, and I want Ole Miss and Memphis to play. And I've talked about that earlier this week, but I know this: when you give any pause, when you hit pause in these games, absence does not make the heart grow fonder.
It's so hard.
It makes it, you get used to not seeing you. Oh, it's y'all again.
Which is one reason when I heard the news that SMU and TCU would be pausing their rivalry, I got real scared. I was like, man.
Apple Cup,
yeah.
Washington State,
Oh, yeah.
Bedlam. When you start taking off, that's the end of it. Look at Nebraska and OU. Now, they've tried a couple of times to get back, but, they both sides talked a big game. Oh, yeah, we're going to keep playing that. That's one of college football staples. It just has a way of going away.
Yeah, you're right. It's interesting, but I am excited about this game this weekend for a lot of reasons, mainly because what kind of you and Greg said of how much did we really learn from Memphis in Game 1 against Bethune-Cookman, and really how much did we learn about Arkansas State in a blowout loss against Oklahoma. So I think it'll be a good almost Game 1 for both these teams.
Yesterday, and I know you like her just like I do, Kara Ritchie was so good, and she made a great point. In no Arkansas State preseason math to get to the magic number of 6 did they have an Oklahoma win in there. Nobody had
Not
that.
at all.
Just nobody. So not a lot changed from that, but then when you boil down to 73-0.
Yeah.
Now, for the Tigers, in every Ryan Silverfield doesn't get on a hot seat, every rosy scenario, every any combination, Tigers had that as ASU as a W.
Well, and that's interesting. You brought that up with Greg about how this is a team that just lost 73-0, and it seems like Memphis, there's more pressure on Memphis to win this game than there is on Arkansas State.
And let me be fair. For Ole Miss Saturday against Tulane, there's no favorable Ole Miss math that didn't have a Tulane win in it.
Right, absolutely. So, I mean, it's just kind of how that goes. And so it'll be fun Saturday for both the Tigers and for the Ole Miss game at Tulane. But did you see, I saw this a little earlier, Tez Walker, the receiver for North Carolina, the NCAA has come out and said that his waiver has been denied. He will not be able to play for North Carolina. That's the second time North Carolina has tried to appeal the official ruling from the NCAA. So Tez Walker, who I think a lot of people around North Carolina in that program thought he would be a massive weapon for that offense this year. He'll have to sit out this year. He will be able to play next year, but no Tez Walker this year. And for it, I know I definitely wanted Tez Walker to play. I think college football is better when you have weapons for teams that are able to play. But it is interesting for North Carolina, the fact that this isn't a guy who is just transferring, or even a guy like in DeAndre Williams, where we're all sitting here waiting on what will happen with DeAndre. There's this rare circumstances of why he is looking for a waiver to play again, or some of the other situations you see with transfers. Tez Walker, like it or not, this is second time transferring, and by the new NCAA rules, you have to sit after 2 years unless you can get a waiver, and they do not have to put that waiver through. So for North Carolina to come out as fiery as they have, and just as kind of, it would seem like this is just a guy that just transferred for his first time, and they've denied him on a waiver. It's interesting to see how North Carolina has reacted to this whole thing.
It is. I'll go back to that word I used around Alabama and the proportionality, the working on tickets and stuff. It's awfully rich of North Carolina to get this mad. Have we forgot about our classes that didn't even exist?
That's a good point, Brett. That's a very good point.
I mean, it's a lot of nerve for North Carolina to show this kind of how dare you, but I am afraid of this, and there's no more petty group that's ever existed than the NCAA.
Very true.
I think everybody, it scares me now with it being this long with DeAndre Williams, I think everybody out there now, when you go in front of the NCAA, because they've really been just rendered just as futile and as useless as they can be, except for they still can hand out a lot of decisions.
Which is kind of crazy.
I think everybody's going to get the stiff arm from them.
Here,
you don't want to be in front of the NCAA over anything from now on.
And here's what I'll say about Tez Walker's situation and how, unfortunately, like you said, it could tie in right with DeAndre. I mean, when we talk about this DeAndre case, it's a story of he was led astray by people to do this or that, and for that reason he should have had an extra year of eligibility. For Tez Walker, this is a guy that originally started his career at NC Central in North Carolina, and when his first year as a freshman at NC Central was canceled because of COVID. And so he transferred to Kent State, played at Kent State for 2 years, and is now transferring to North Carolina. So he never played at NC Central. He was just a part of the team, and because he was a part of the team and then transferred to a different school, that counted as a transfer. That seems like an interesting situation. By rule, that's 2 transfers, but it's an interesting situation for Tez, and because of that interesting situation, I'm afraid it could have kind of the same effect on DeAndre.
Yeah, it just looks like the NCAA is getting a little revenge, and they're literally applying everything. And I can just see them being petty enough, small enough, just that bunch of eggheads that make up the management of it with the Tigers. I can just see them doing this. I'm not saying this. I'm saying this is what I think they're saying. Yeah, y'all spiked the ball last year on us with IARP.
Yep.
We'll show you. We'll show you. And that bunch is petty enough to do it.
They are. And another thing, it seems like a couple weeks ago you were starting to hear rumors, reports that by either the end of this week or next week, Memphis should have word from the NCAA.
Always next week,
about DeAndre. It's always next week, but it's been 3 or 4 weeks since we first heard that, and so I'm worried. I'm curious of when we'll actually get word on DeAndre, because we've been talking about it with the NBA and basketball. The season is close, and it'll be here.
He's 3 to 5 wins difference maker.
Absolutely, easily. I think easily. So
it could be more than that.
I think it is more than that.
Remember that topic next week.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to bring that up next week. So hopefully, maybe we'll have a decision by next week. But I wouldn't cross my fingers. But let's get to our final break of the day, and when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Vergos' Rendezvous, in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Rich Eisen here from Westwood One. Join us for the kickoff of the new NFL season from Kansas City when the Super Bowl champion Chiefs, led by last year's MVP Patrick Mahomes, take on Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner and Kevin Harlan will call the action on air and on the free live stream sponsored by AutoZone on NFL Kickoff.
Right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car really needs a wash.
The $20 Meguiar's bundle includes Gold Class Car Wash for a showroom shine.
Get in zone.
And what about my tires?
Just spray the included Hot Shine tire coating and you're all set.
Get in zone.
The inside is not great.
No problem. The quick interior detailer in the bundle can help with that too.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Once again, here are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
If I go crazy, then will you still call me?
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, what I learned today, how about an appetizer tonight for Thursday Night Football? Here in a couple of minutes at 6 o'clock, the first episode of Mining for Greatness will air on ESPN+. Now, Mining for Greatness, a lot of people are asking, what is Mining for Greatness? It is a docu-series following Biff Poggi and the Charlotte 49ers in the first year for Poggi, which I know a lot of people are going to start having complaints about this show, and me in particular on this station, because they're going to say, all this kid wants to talk about is the Seattle Mariners and the Charlotte 49ers. Who cares? But let me tell you, the only reason I say please give it a try. If you're interested in this type of stuff, watch it. I think Biff Poggi is the most interesting person in college football. He might be the most interesting person in all of sports. A former hedge funder who decided after making a ton of money that he
not just any hedge fund.
No.
Billionaire.
A billionaire decided that he was going to come back and coach football, start at the high school level, then was on staff at Michigan. Brett, there is a great story in The Athletic that talks about him being a part of that Michigan program, and there are a lot of people in that program that will say, do not give credit to Jim Harbaugh, but the real man that is the reason that we went to the college football playoffs is Biff Poggi. And so I'm excited about what he can do at Charlotte.
There's people saying that he needs to be the heir apparent to Harbaugh.
Wow.
And there's an analyst at Ole Miss that was at Michigan with Poggi, and he said, the analysts did well, but some that weren't married still had to have roommates and share a house and stuff. He said Poggi had a spread.
Oh, man.
He said it was just unbelievable.
Oh, man.
He's not just a little bit wealthy, billionaire.
He's extremely wealthy, but has decided he wants to coach college football, and I love it. I cannot get enough of Biff Poggi.
Live that dream, man. Live that dream. What I learned, it may be a long season in L.A. when Matthew Stafford had to nicely tell his wife to keep her flap shut. Her podcast got her and him in a lot of trouble. And as I said earlier, at this point, who out there that we really want to hear from that doesn't have a podcast?
Too many podcasts around, Brett. Too many podcasts.
I've been on more than I've listened to.
I believe it, Brett. I mean, I'm not surprised by that. But what I could have done without, obviously a very small sample size since we've only been through 2 weeks of the college football, a week and a half, I guess I'll say, of the college football season, including week 0. But today, Dennis Dodd reported that according to the NCAA, FBS games are 2 minutes and on average 4.6 plays shorter in total so far through week 0 and 1. I mean, there's absolutely no difference. The only difference is...
I do it sitting there at Vandy.
Oh, yeah. The only difference, Brett, is that I'm watching more commercials while I'm sitting down watching a game.
I don't want to knock commercials,
No, I don't either. Commercials are great, but, I mean, don't tell us that college football needs to be changed.
It wasn't about player safety.
It was not.
It was not about player safety.
It wasn't about anything. And so don't tell us that the college game needs to be fixed because of this reason, this reason, and this reason. We're going to make these rules. Because if that was really the case, it would be more drastic than 2 minutes and 4.6 plays.
How about eliminate a game and go back to 11-game season?
Hey.
Never going to happen. I could have done without this. People talking like if the Nick Saban years are done at Alabama if they lost to Texas Saturday. They could lose to Texas. I don't think they will. But if they do lose to Texas Saturday, this isn't going to end it. It's going to end at some time, but it's not going to be because of Saturday.
No, it's not going to be because of one game. That's ridiculous. Where are you beaming tonight?
To the French Quarter to watch football on TV.
Okay.
Driving now, 6-hour safe drive. Did 3 radio shows on the way down.
Wow.
Did Drew Darman in Huntsville, Chuck Oliver in Atlanta, and Pat Smith and Landon Roberts on Jocks, and still got plenty of energy because I want to watch this game tonight. Can't wait for it.
I'm beaming to Kansas City. I mean, where else would you beam tonight than the loudest place in the National Football League? Beam me to Kansas City for this game tonight.
Who steps up at wide receiver for the Chiefs tonight? That's a good thing
That's
to
a very good
keep
question.
eye on. And can the Lions finally do something? Inept mostly forever. Also, Seattle at Tampa Bay in baseball, Dodgers at Marlins in baseball. Those games really matter.
Very important, especially for the Mariners after what they've done these past 2 series. There I go again talking about the Mariners, but very important
I brought it
series.
up first. It was my fault.
You did. But some good series, not a lot of baseball tonight, some good series, but all eyes are going to be on this NFL game tonight. I'm just so happy and excited that it's back. Tonight kind of starts that runaway. We'll have a full slate Saturday, we'll have a game Monday, and then the season will be off and rolling. But that's all the time we have today. Enjoy your night. Enjoy the football. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.